Guys, almost 90% of you watching aren't subscribed yet. Please hit that subscribe button.
And a second notification appears asking if he wants to use the gem. Taja feels confused, and Hala asks him what's going on, while Adelia inquires about what he is looking at. Taja, showing his status to Hala, asks if she can see it, but she replies that she can't, and Adelia also confirms that she can't see it either. Taja explains that it is asking him to press yes, and someone shouts in agreement, saying he has to use the gem. This person turns out to be Gregory, and Taja comments that he should have killed him, to which Hala taunts him for lacking the guts, and Adelia says that Lord Releva wouldn't like that. Gregory urges Taja to use the gem. Taja worries that using it might break his delivery box. Hala agrees, warning that since the box is old, they don't know what could happen. Gregory insists that the notification Taja received means the box is compatible with the gem and guarantees that it won't break. However, Taja questions how he can be sure nothing will happen to his box. Sweat drips from Gregory's face as he has no answer to Taja's question. Taja smirks, thinking that he knew it, and declares that he's not going to use it, but Gregory pleads, saying that the delivery box is an artifact from another realm, so it might just cause a different reaction. However, he swears on his lifelong research that the fortification from using the gem will not fail and bows before Taja. Adelia suggests giving it a try since Gregory is on his knees. Hala responds that it's his choice, but he'll be responsible if the box breaks. Taja agrees to use the gem on the condition that Gregory does him a favor, and Gregory excitedly agrees, saying he'll do anything. Taja asks if he is hungry by any chance and goes into his pocket to pull out something. He then pulls out his restaurant's flyer and suggests that Gregory place an order now to get a free side of pickles as part of a limited-time offer. Annoyed, Hala points out that the pickles are always free, calling him a moron. The scene shifts to Taja and Hala back in the cabin, reflecting on how crazy the day was. Hala acknowledges it was a long day and asks if Taja really plans to use the gem. Taja responds ambiguously, and Hala admits she doesn't know enough to advise him. Taja tells her not to worry as he wasn't expecting anything from her, and this statement annoys her, prompting her to ask what he meant. Taja proposes asking someone knowledgeable about these things, and she questions who that might be. Taja turns around and begins calling Mr. Sloan, asking if he's in there. Hala sarcastically remarks on whether Taja actually thinks Mr. Sloan is going to show up. Suddenly, Sloan arrives, asking if they were looking for him. Hala is shocked at his sudden appearance, and Taja says they want to ask him something. Sloan agrees, and Taja shows him the status screen, asking what it is, while Hala mentions she can't see anything. Sloan explains that the device enhances communication within dimensions. Taja and Hala ask for clarification, and Sloan says he will try to simplify the explanation. Sloan explains that there are many different realms, but for convenience's sake, they can just call it this and other realms. There are many differences between the two realms, including attire, cuisine, and lifestyles. Therefore, it could be a frightening encounter when meeting a person from another realm. This is especially true when you meet people with magical powers that don't exist in your realm, to which Taja agrees. Sloan adds that this device is meant to help you understand all those unfamiliar situations and items. Taja says he understands, while Hala nods in agreement, saying that it does sound more convenient. Hala then wonders if this was around when she worked as a delivery girl. She then becomes angry, asking Sloan why she didn't get something like this back then. Sloan laughs and then replies that he developed the system based on her experience, prompting her to angrily remind him of all the trouble she went through during her deliveries. But Sloan does not listen to her and tells Taja that his delivery box is indestructible, so he does not need to worry about it. Taja agrees and says he wanted to ask one more thing about whether there are any rules on who can place orders. On hearing this, Sloan asks what he means by rules. Taja explains that it seemed like the commoners did not want him to approach them, and that they were freaked out by the mere mention of delivery food. Sloan responds by asking what would happen if Count Bensley suddenly appeared in Taja's realm. Taja replies that maybe he would be arrested for being a tyrant. Hala questions the nature of Sloan's question, and then Sloan asks what would happen if Taja suddenly bumped into Count Bensley in this realm. Taja says that he would probably ask him how he came into this realm. Annoyed, Hala asks what his point is. Sloan then explains that people who already know about other realms are more likely to place orders, but those who don't may just react with fear. Taja brings up that Adelia asked him if it was a rule that only aristocrats can order, while Hela says that Adelia never gets anything right. Sloane replies that Adelia is not entirely wrong because, in her realm, only the aristocrats have the privilege of knowledge. On hearing this, Hela is surprised and embarrassed for bashing Adelia, and Taija says that it seems that convincing commoners to place orders is not going to be an easy task. Sloane says that would be entirely up to Taija and asks if that's everything he wanted to know. Taija agrees, and Sloane tells him that he can call him anytime without hesitation if he has any other questions. Taija thanks him, and Hela says bye. After he leaves, Taija panics and remembers something else he wanted to ask Sloane, which also makes Hela panic, saying that he's always so slow. Hela then asks Taija what he wanted to ask about, and Taija points out that their helmet and scooter are not visible anywhere. On hearing this, Hela freezes for a second and then suddenly bursts out laughing, asking if that is really what Taija was so curious about. Taija confirms it is, saying it's important as he needs them to feel like a delivery boy. Hela, while wiping her tears from laughter, asks if the delivery box is not enough for him. Taija says that he feels like even the delivery box is disappearing sometimes. Hela explains that Taija is the only one who can use the scooter and helmet. Taija asks if that is really true, and Hela confirms it, adding that the items will automatically be summoned back to the cabin if they ever end up too far from it, so he does not need to worry. Taija looks around and says he still can't see them. Hela tells him to try turning the key. Taija puts the key in the air, turns it, and asks if she means like that, and as soon as he does, his scooter appears. Shocked, Taija reacts with disbelief, and Hela tells him not to be such a scary cat. Taija complains that she should have told him earlier because he was worrying a lot. Smiling, Hela questions what's there to worry about. Taija explains that both the scooter and the helmet are valuable artifacts, so he doesn't want to lose them. Taija then waves bye to Hela, saying he's off to prepare the order, and Hela waves back, telling him she will see him later. As Taija starts to leave, Hela reflects that while the helmet is one thing, she wonders if the delivery box was also bound to the scooter. She starts to think that she herself seems to be appearing and disappearing as well. As she thinks more deeply, she comes to a conclusion, asking herself, did he just forget? Then Taija remembers something and realizes he forgot to exchange the ring for money. He hits his head in frustration for forgetting. Later, Taija comes to Taeyoung very happily, and suddenly Taeyoung, while drinking water, chokes. Taija asks if he's okay and if he needs to go to the hospital, but Taeyoung says that there is no need as he simply choked on his drink. Taija asks what he was drinking, and Taeyoung shows him something. Taija finds it interesting, and Taeyoung explains that his new psychotherapist gave it to him and that he has to mix it with water and drink it like medicine. Taija asks if it is helping him feel better, and Taeyoung confirms that so far it is. Taija says that's good, and then the strange sparkling purple liquid is shown much closer. Sometime later, Taija brings food to Gregory's realm and informs him that his delivery has arrived. Hela, who is eating something, remarks that it's very good, and Taija agrees, reminding her he told her so. Hela compliments Taehyung's cooking skills. Gregory, on seeing the food, asks if this is what they eat in other realms, while Adelia notes it looks different from their last order. Taija mentions that the noodles with the sauce are what her sister ordered, and that she'll need to mix up the sauce before eating, asking her if she remembers the sweet and sour pork. Gregory and Adelia begin eating, and Gregory, while holding the chopsticks, is curious about them, wondering if this is the right way to use them. Taija stands with Hela by a vast sea and admires the beautiful view, which Hela agrees is indeed very good. Taija mentions that he and Taehyung could use a vacation, and Hela asks if he has ever had time off. Taija says no, as they have recently been busy paying off their debt. When Hela asks how much he owes, Taija explains that not a lot. Since he makes $6,000 per delivery, it should only take him about 60 deliveries to pay off the debt. Hela says that this amount of debt sounds like a lot to her. Taija agrees and says that it would probably take him decades to make that kind of money if he didn't have this job, to which Hela concedes he has a point. After a moment of silence as they enjoy the view of the ocean, Hela asks how much he trusts Adelia while looking back at her. Taija asks what she means by that, and Hela tells him that it's not like he needs Adelia for anything, to which he replies that it's true he doesn't. Hela then questions Taija's decision to let Adelia follow him around. Since she's Benzali's daughter, she might be pretending to be friendly for her own benefit. Taija reassures her that he has everything figured out. When Hela asks about his plan, Taija replies that it's a secret, which prompts Hela to kick him and tell him to stop the nonsense angrily. Taija reacts in pain, saying that it hurts, to which Hela tells him that's the point of her kicking him, calling him a jerk. Meanwhile, Gregory laughs and says that Taija and his spirit seem to be quite a pair, which shocks Adelia, asking him if he can see the spirit. Gregory replies more or less. He can see her clearly enough to tell that she is giving Taija a trashing right now. Adelia suggests it might be because Gregory is an archmage. Adelia intensely observes Taija in the distance, and Gregory takes notice of this. He asks her if she envies their friendship. The question catches Adelia off guard, to which she replies, "What does he mean by that?" Gregory speculates that as a daughter of Benzali, she might have been raised strictly, especially since her elder sister did not meet their father's expectations. Adelia says that she hasn't lived up to her father's expectations either. She still has a long way to go. Gregory then guesses that Adelia is following Taija on her father's orders, but Adelia stays silent. Gregory says that he'll take her silence to mean that his guess is correct, but warns her not to interfere in his research and clarifies that he is not interested in her or her father's schemes, only in his work. Adelia promises to try not to get in his way. Gregory praises her intelligence, calling her smart, but Adelia dismisses it as false praise. Meanwhile, in the background, Hela is still trashing Taija while he tries to apologize to her. Gregory warns that it won't be easy. When Adelia asks what he means, Gregory explains that Taija is not from their realm, so he isn't bound by their rules, and adds that Taija is powerful and quick-witted, making him a pretty formidable opponent for her. Adelia says she already knows all of this. Gregory says that it looks like she has finally met her match. He then asks her the purpose of her visit, and Adelia says she wants to ask about the Ring of Courage, which had her father's name inscribed inside. When asked what she wants to know, Adelia says she recently saw the ring up close and found something strange in it. Gregory asks what was strange, and Adelia says the engraving seems to be covering up an old mark of some sort. Gregory thinks about it and then says he remembers now. Adelia says that she wanted to know if Gregory was trying to cover up something, and Gregory says that someone had already erased that mark before the ring found its way to him, and while he didn't pay much attention to it back then, he is now becoming interested in it. After that, he goes to Taija and asks if he has the Ring of Courage, to which Taija replies that he does. Gregory asks to see it, and when Taija questions why, Adelia explains that they want to check something. Hearing this, Taija hands over the Ring of Courage. Gregory takes it away to examine it, while Hela scolds Taija for handing over the ring so easily, especially after all the fuss he made over the delivery box. Taija responds that it's because the ring seemed like garbage to him, and Adelia lets out a small laugh while looking at Taija with a smile. As they discuss this, Gregory explains that the ring is not actually the Ring of Courage. Adelia asks what it is, then, and after thinking for a while, Gregory reveals it is the Ring of Hephaestus. Taija asks what that is, and Hela remarks that she didn't expect to hear that name. While they are talking, Taija's box starts reacting strangely. Taija asks what is happening, and Hela is surprised as well while they look at the delivery box opening a portal. Suddenly, his sword emerges from the box, and the delivery box begins to float along with the sword and ring. Gregory's expression changes with greed as he realizes these artifacts were created by Hephaestus. Taija, seeing his reaction, says that he can't have them and tells him to stop drooling. Hela comments on how cool it is, and Adelia agrees with her. Taija, confused, wonders what is going on as the items float around him, and Hela suggests that maybe all these items recognize him as their master. Adelia agrees and adds that she thinks the same. With a smile, Hela suggests that it could also be something dangerous, and Adelia tells her not to try to scare Taija. As they talk, Taija's box begins to shine, and he receives a system notification that he has collected 3 of Hephaestus's artifacts, which grants him a bonus effect. The bonus effect connects all artifacts to him, allowing him to summon them whenever he wants. Taija, surprised, wonders if the artifacts are really bound to him. Hela asks what is going on and whether something has happened. Taija explains that he has just received some sort of bonus effect. Hela asks what that bonus effect is, and Adelia speculates that maybe he unlocked it by collecting artifacts. Gregory concludes that this must really be Hephaestus's ring. Hela suggests checking the ring again, and Taija agrees. Adelia expresses her curiosity, and Gregory also shows interest. Taija then examines the ring, learning that it's actually the ring of Hephaestus, the god of forge, created in memory of his marriage to Aphrodite, the goddess of beauty. The ring is indestructible and binds the wearer to remain loyal to one woman for the rest of his life, or they will suffer the torment of hell. The ring also has a special skill called Light of Labor. Teja, unimpressed, calls the artifact useless and thinks about the name Light of Labor, calling it a joke. He reads that Hephaestus created this skill to prevent laziness. If the ring is held above the head for 5 seconds, it emits light that compels anyone who sees it to work continuously until the ring's owner stops them. Teja reacts with disbelief, calling it a violation of labor rights, as he thinks he's got no use for this. After hearing him, Adelia and Hela both ask about the skill, but Teja dismisses it and tells them not to worry about it. Teja then asks Gregory if he could tell him what it means for an artifact to be bound to him. Gregory clarifies that it means the artifact cannot be separated from Teja until he dies. Teja, shocked, repeats in disbelief that only death can separate them, and Gregory confirms this, warning that even if he tries to give it away, the artifact will find its way back to him. Teja is left completely stunned by this statement. Gregory explains that in ancient times, there were mages who used this kind of effect to deceive people by selling artifacts that would always return to their original owner. As Teja processes this, visibly broken, he falls to his knees in despair, while both Adelia and Hela ask him what happened and if he's okay. Teja then suddenly screams, demanding to know what about his money. After some time, a scene is shown where Gregory and Adelia are sitting down, and Teja is sitting in front of them on the chair, visibly angry. Gregory quietly asks Adelia how long they have to stay like this, but Adelia tells him to stay quiet for now. While they are talking, Teja suddenly speaks, startling everyone. He demands to know who will take responsibility for the $6,000 he lost. In response, both start blaming each other by pointing fingers, with Gregory saying Adelia was the one who brought up the faded inscription on the ring, and Adelia mentioning that it was Gregory who wanted to investigate it. Gregory says it was her big mouth that activated the bonus effect, and Adelia denies the claim, saying that he's the one who activated it. Their bickering frustrates Teja, who draws his sword, instantly silencing them. Teja then calms down and complains that he never should have trusted them with the ring in the first place. Gregory then gets up for a bit, and Teja looks at him with a death stare, making Gregory sit back down on the floor, nervously claiming that he was just stretching out his legs. Teja gets up and tells Gregory that he can finish his experiment. Gregory asks if he really can, and Teja confirms, saying that he might as well, as he thinks that he can't keep staring at this the whole day while he looks at the system notification asking him if he would like to use the gem. As soon as Teja agrees to use the gem, a bright light appears, shocking Hela, who wonders what is happening. The delivery box starts glowing, and it is revealed that incognito mode has been successfully added. Gregory asks if it really worked, and Adelia says that it certainly seems like something has happened. Teja agrees with them, thinking the same, and then activates the incognito mode by holding the box and speaking the command. Right after, both the box and Teja disappear, and Gregory and Adelia exclaim in surprise. Gregory begins dancing with joy, saying that he has finally done it, and Adelia congratulates him on becoming one of those who approach the truth. Gregory celebrates, saying he always knew he was right all along and just needed the right artifact to prove it, and Adelia praises him as Archmage Gregory. Teja comments that Gregory seems genuinely happy, and Hela agrees, saying that's an Archmage for him and that he probably won't calm down anytime soon, so they should explore the new skill first. Teja agrees and checks the incognito mode, discovering it erases the user's presence for 3 minutes, can only be used once per day, and its duration can be increased through more deliveries. Teja says that the system could use a more reasonable tone, but Hela says if it did, then it would lose its charm. Teja then checks for other possible effects that can be improved with deliveries and finds a new skill called Deflection, which blocks all incoming attacks and can be used 3 times per day, with additional uses unlocked through more deliveries. Teja acknowledges that the skill could be useful, and Hela, though unable to see what he's viewing, senses that he has gained something good. Teja explains that a normal person like him needs something like that to survive, to which Hela remarks, since when has he ever been considered normal? As they talk, Gregory appears, grabs Teja's hand, and thanks him emotionally, but Teja reassures him it's okay. Hela, uncomfortable with Gregory's behavior, tells him to stay away. Gregory then asks if he can conduct another experiment to test the artifact's durability, and Teja agrees if this gets Gregory to stay out of his personal space. Gregory adds gems into it, and Taija gains a skill called Resurrection, which allows him to come back to life and be used once daily. Taija is a bit disappointed that it seems he can't level it up, and Hela advises him to be happy with what he got. While they are discussing all this, someone nearby calls out to ask if Gregory is inside. They all turn around to see who it was, and a man with a blue robe and yellow eyes walks in, noting that it seems Gregory has company. Gregory is happy to see the man and excitedly runs towards him, saying, "Look who it is," which makes the man question what Gregory could be so happy about. Taija, confused, asks Adelia about the man's identity, and Adelia softly explains in his ear that he is Archmage Vogue, a good friend and colleague of Lord Gregory. Taija expresses surprise, thinking archmages were supposed to be rare, but Hela affirms this, saying if it weren't for Adelia, he wouldn't be meeting so many of them. Meanwhile, Gregory, in tears, declares that he has done it. He has joined those who have approached the truth. Vogue questions if he really did, and Gregory looks at Taija, acknowledging that everything happened thanks to him. Without him, none of this would have been possible. Observing Taija, Vogue notes that he doesn't seem to be from this world, then shakes hands with him and asks if he comes from another realm. Taija confirms and introduces himself, and Vogue responds kindly with his own name. Gregory whispers to Vogue that the food Taija sells is quite extraordinary and that he should give it a try, prompting Vogue to say that Taija must be an employee of Sloan. Taija comments that Gregory seems more like a cheap salesman than an archmage, and Hela agrees, calling Gregory a quack, and Adelia laughs uncomfortably. Vogue says he wouldn't mind trying Taija's food and asks if he can place an order with him. This makes Taija very happy, and he enthusiastically agrees, taking out his menu and going to the trouble to explain all the details about the food, what to try, what is popular, and what isn't worth it. Seeing this, Hela teases by asking who the real salesman is now, and Adelia says that Taija seems very serious about his work. Vogue says he will try whatever Taija recommends, to which Taija responds with a cheerful thank you. Vogue then hands Taija a gem as payment and apologizes for not being able to escort him out, explaining he has many things to discuss with his friend. Taija assures him it's no problem and thanks him. As they part ways, Gregory and Vogue wave at Taija and say they will definitely meet again. Just then, Taija and Adelia reply with their own goodbyes. As Taija, Adelia, and Hela begin to leave, Hela asks to see the gem, and Taija hands it over. Hela guesses that this gem is probably worth a fortune, but Taija remarks that it's only worth $6,000 to him. He then says that it doesn't matter what its real value is, taking something out of his pocket and giving it to Adelia, who can't understand what it is and assumes it might be a note. Hela asks if she can have the gem, to which Taija agrees, but states the cost is $6,000, which makes her tell him to get real. Taija then asks if she's hungry, and after thinking for a moment, Hela says she guessed she could eat, now that he has mentioned it. Adelia offers to find some good food stalls nearby as she's familiar with the place and asks if she should bring something for them, and Taija takes her offer. Hela questions if they should really eat street food, but Adelia explains that because the street stalls are out in the open, it's easier to tell whether the food is safe or not. Taija adds that if Adelia is vouching for the safety of street food, he has no problem, and Hela agrees, saying that wandering around sounds like a hassle anyway. Taija asks Adelia if they can leave it all to her, and Adelia confirms. Taija tells her they will wait for her in the square, and Adelia says she'll be back soon. Adelia then walks alone toward a narrow hallway where a man is standing and, upon crossing him, requests a favor. The man replies that she just needs to say the word, and Adelia hands him the object Taija has given her, asking him to look into it. When he asks how long he has, Adelia instructs him to do it within 10 minutes, and the man agrees. After Adelia leaves, the man opens the item and finds a note inside that reads, "A purple liquid with psychological effects." The scene shifts to Taija returning home, and his brother greets him with a smile while he washes the dishes. Taija offers to do the dishes and tells his brother that he should get some rest, but his brother tells him that it's okay as he's almost done. Taija stares at his brother for a second, who is happily washing the dishes, before asking him a question about the purple liquid potion he had shown him earlier. At first, his brother wonders what potion he's talking about, to which Taija clarifies he's talking about the little bottle of liquid his brother had shown him. His brother asks what he wants to know about it. Taija, trying to make up something in order to get his hands on that potion, tells his brother that the potion seemed really effective, so he was wondering if he could try it out as well. While taking off his gloves, His brother tells him that the potion is meant to treat psychiatric conditions, not physical ones, so he's not sure it would do Taeja any good. Taeja says, "Is that so?" His brother tells him that he does have a bottle he just opened and asks Taeja if he wants to give it a try, to which Taeja replies that he does, as that would be great. His brother tells him to just let him rinse off the bottle, and after doing so, he hands over the potion to Taeja, and Taeja thanks him with a smile on his face. His brother then asks him if he has eaten yet, to which Taeja replies that he ate in the other realm, that their food isn't that much different from theirs, and that he brought some back for him. The food from the other realm is then displayed, which looks like chicken, beef skewers, and bread. Taeyong inspects the food and says that it really doesn't look that much different from their realm. Taeja explains that the other realm looks a lot like Europe did in the Middle Ages. Taeyong acknowledges this and says that he will give the food a try then. He then takes a bite of the beef skewer and is amazed by the flavor of the food. Taeja acknowledges his brother's amazed reaction to the food and tells him that he was shocked too when he first tried it. His brother suggests they should start developing some new recipes, to which Taeja wonders what he means. His brother says they could expand their menu or even go for a more high-end selection. Taeja looks at his brother in disbelief and asks if he means something like adding caviar to their noodles. His brother begins to seriously think about caviar and fried noodles, mentioning that he's not sure if they would really go well together, but the caviar would definitely make the food high-end. He then thinks that perhaps they could switch up their presentation a bit instead of adding fancy ingredients. Taeja looks at his brother in disbelief, wondering if his brother is actually serious about this. He then smiles while looking at his brother eating the beef skewer, thinking that it sure is nice to see his brother get so enthusiastic again. Taeja is then seen holding the purple liquid potion under the table. The scene shifts to Taeja going through the portal and returning to the cabin, where he greets both Hela and Adelia, and both of them greet him back. As Taeja holds a map in his hand, he asks them if they are ready to go, to which Adelia replies that she's ready, while Hela just says whatever. Adelia approaches Taeja, asking where they are headed, and at the same time, she slips something into his pocket, and he takes notice of this. He replies that the map says the Stone Wetlands. He then asks Hela if she's been there before, but she shrugs and says no, she's never heard of it. Taeja then teases Hela, asking if she's sure she used to be a delivery girl, which prompts Hela to yell at him in anger. What the hell is that supposed to mean? Adelia tries to calm Hela down. Taeja tells Hela that he's not sure if she knows this, but she has to actually make deliveries to be considered a delivery girl. This angers Hela, and she threatens to beat his ass anytime, while Adelia tries to calm her down. The scene then shifts to them arriving at a new place, where they all look amazed by the view. The place they are at has rocky surfaces and a lot of green water. Taeja crouches down to look closer and is surprised by the green water, while Hela mentions that it's her first time seeing something like this. With a concerned expression, Adelia warns them not to get too close to the water, prompting both Taeja and Hela to ask why. Adelia explains that the swamps of the Stone Wetlands are pretty unique, as she heard that the waters will suck them in if they so much as touch it. Taeja acknowledges this, and Hela says that's crazy. Adelia adds that there are many toxins in the water from the decomposing corpses, and that there's no escape once the swamp sucks them in. Taeja, in disbelief, asks Hela why anyone would want to live in a creepy place like this, and she simply replies, "That's an archmage for you." Taeja looks annoyed at Hela and asks her if that's her answer to everything. She replies, "What does he mean by that?" Taeja says to forget it, which makes Hela angry, asking him if he's making fun of her again. Meanwhile, Adelia looks behind her and asks if it's possible that they've come to the wrong place. Taeja replies that's impossible, as Hela told him that the artifacts don't make mistakes. Hela confirms this, saying that if anything does go wrong, it would be Taeja's fault. Adelia smiles nervously, telling them to please not start fighting again. Taeja looks around the place and says that he doesn't see anything that resembles a house, asking the others if they do. Hela asks if anything can even survive out here, while Adelia says that perhaps they really did press the wrong spot on the map. Taeja says that's possible, but they can't use the map again until they complete this delivery. Adelia looks worried and tells him that's going to be a problem, while Hela tells him that it looks like he's doomed. Suddenly, a noise is heard, and Taeja quickly blocks an attack with his delivery box. Adelia wonders if they are being ambushed, and Taeja tells her to stay back. Hala wonders who the person in front of them is, and on the floor, we can see two spearheads that broke when they hit Taeja's delivery box. A man with orange hair, holding a spear, stands in front of them, ready to attack, calling Taeja and his group intruders. He tells them to leave now or die, as this land belongs to them. Taeja doesn't take the man seriously and points at him while looking at Hela in confusion, and Hela just shrugs. Then, out of nowhere, both Taeja and Hela burst out laughing, tears coming out of their eyes. Meanwhile, Adelia is shocked that they can laugh at a time like this. The orange-haired man asks what's so funny. Taeja apologizes to the man while pulling out his sword from his delivery box, and Hala says that she hasn't laughed like this in ages. The man angrily lunges forward, attempting to attack Taeja, while telling him not to say he didn't warn him. Taeja, now expressionless, swings his sword with little effort and breaks the man's spearhead, making the man fall backwards in disbelief. Taeja, now looking cocky, says that he apologizes for laughing, but his last battle was against an army of 100, and Hala adds that even that was a breeze. Meanwhile, Adelia shudders, wondering if Taeja is talking about her army. Taeja points his sword at the man, asking to know who he is. The man tells him that humans wouldn't stand a chance against them if they had access to proper steel. Hala remarks that the man came up with a nice excuse, so she'll allow it. Adelia says that the man must be one of the Groad people because of his 3 eyes. Both Taeja and Hela ask who the Groad people are. Adelia explains that they are a tribe that's renowned for their craftsmanship, and that a popular saying on this continent is "a Groad in the south" is just as reliable as a dwarf in the north. This angers the man sitting on the floor, who says how dare she compare them to dwarves. He adds that they will see that his people are the true master craftsmen of this world once their god returns to them one day. Hephaestus's ring starts to glow, making the trio turn to look at it. Taeja mentions that nothing surprises him anymore, as stuff like this happens quite often now, while the man on the floor is shocked to hear the name Hephaestus. The system notifies that the ring of Hephaestus' special skill, Light of Labor, has been activated, and a small flame erupts from the ring. Taeja downplays the special skill, mentioning that it's only pretty and nothing else, and Hela agrees that it's kind of pretty. Adelia wonders what the special skill activating now could mean. The orange-haired man is now seen bowing on his knees to Taeja, asking him to please kill him and calling him my lord. Hela wonders what's happening right now, and Taeja replies by asking how he should know. Adelia says that maybe they should allow the man to explain. The man begs Taeja to please forgive him for not recognizing him, calling him Great Apostle. The scene shifts to the man's village, where he welcomes Taeja into it, once again calling him Great Apostle, which makes Taeja wonder when he became an apostle. Hala mentions that it may be because he possesses 3 of Hephaestus's artifacts. Meanwhile, Adelia looks around the village, finding it peculiar. The orange-haired man excitedly leads the way and tells Taeja that their chief will be very happy to see him. Taeja wonders about the chief, and Hala remarks that the man sort of reminds her of Adelia, which prompts Adelia to ask what she meant by that. They finally arrive at the chief's location, with the man telling the chief they are back, and Taeja greeting the chief. An old woman with orange hair is then seen sitting in the middle of the room, welcoming them in. The young man with orange hair tells the chief that he found the apostle of Hephaestus, and the chief thanks him for bringing him here. The chief then asks the young man to give her a moment to speak to the apostle in private, to which the young man agrees. As the young man is leaving, he turns around to look at Taeja, telling him that he'll see him soon, calling him my lord. Taeja continues to play along and waves back at the young man, saying sure, while Hela muses if the young man is maybe more the Selena type. Adelia wonders if by the Selena type she means cheerful, but we all know she means just another airhead. Taeja and Adelia sit in front of the chief, and Taeja tells the chief that it's nice to meet her, and the chief welcomes him as the Great Apostle. Taeja asks why she keeps referring to him as the Great Apostle. The chief explains that there is an ancient prophecy that her people have believed in for many generations. Taeja wonders about this prophecy, and Hala says she's getting a bad feeling about this. Adelia muses about how fascinating it is to hear a prophecy that's been passed down by the Groad people for generations. The chief begins reciting the prophecy. One day, they will receive a visitor who bears the mark of Hephaestus, and his coming shall signal a new era of war. Their village will once again be filled with the sounds of hammers striking metal, and the servants of God shall regain their former glory. And now, because the Great Apostle has finally arrived, their days of starvation and poverty are sure to come to an end. The trio begins to think about the prophecy, with Hela saying that things have suddenly gotten serious. Taeja asks the chief what makes her so sure that he's the visitor from her prophecy. The chief points to the ring on Taeja's finger, asking if that was forged by the one her people call God. Taeja replies that it was, but explains that he only came across the ring by chance. He has no idea what this prophecy is and has no intention of starting any wars. The chief apologizes to Taeja before telling him that his intentions do not matter, as this is the will of God. Taeja asks how he can be Hephaestus's apostle when he doesn't even know anything about Hephaestus. The chief replies that it's because Hephaestus has chosen him to carry out his will. Now, with a more serious tone, Taeja asks how he can carry out the will of God when he doesn't even know what it is. Matching his tone, the chief replies that a man does not explain his plans to dogs because all dogs need to do is obey. After this is said, the room is filled with silence as the scene shows Taeja and the chief face to face with each other, with the latter having a smile on her face. Taeja then rises from the floor and thanks the chief for her hospitality, which makes Adelia hesitate for a second. The chief tells him that he's most welcome, calling him my lord. Taeja asks the chief if she knows where he can find Vogue, the archmage. She tells him that he'll be sure to find him if he heads southwest. Both Taeja and Adelia thank the chief as they leave her place, and the chief wishes them farewell. After they left, Hela tells Taeja that she didn't like how the chief was talking to him, and he says that the chief must be a big believer of Hephaestus. Adelia believes that the chief was quite reasonable, considering how religious she is. The trio then stumbled upon a group of children from the village staring at them, prompting them to freeze in place while they tried to figure out what was going on. One of the children excitedly says that it's the great apostle and that he has never seen an apostle before. All three children stare at Taeja in awe, which makes Taeja uncomfortable as he says hi to them. Hela feels disgusted, saying that she hates kids. On the other hand, Adelia seems to love the kids, asking why she hates them when they are so cute. Taeja politely asks the kids if they could please let them through as they are in a hurry. Hela tells them to scram, calling them brats, and Adelia asks one of the kids for their name. The kid replies that his name is Gray, but suddenly his stomach rumbles loudly, which catches the attention of the trio. Taeja tries to convince himself that he didn't hear anything at all, while Adelia asks the kids if they are hungry. One of the kids says that they are, as they haven't eaten anything since yesterday. The kids look at Taeja with puppy eyes, and Adelia calls out to him. Taeja says that he can't hear her, and Hela says that she can't see her. Adelia suddenly appears behind Taeja, saying please. Taeja gives in and decides to feed the kids, since Adelia did him a favor by looking into that strange potion with purple liquid for him. Taeja hands the kids some menus from his restaurant, and one of the kids wonders what they are looking at. Taeja, while forcing a smile, asks them if they see anything they would like from the menu. The three kids think for a moment, and one of them holds up the menu, while drooling, saying they want everything on it. Taeja is annoyed by this, and Hela says that she figured this would have been the case. Taeja changes his annoyed expression to a defeated one and says, all right. Adelia pats one of the kids on the head and tells him it will take a little while, so she asks him to wait here, to which the kid says he will. The system notifies that a youth from the Grode village named Gray has ordered everything on the menu. He has 5 hours to make this delivery. Taeja crumbles the map in his hand, saying him and his big mouth, while Hela tries to cheer him up. Taeja says he'll be back in a second, but suddenly the trio notices 3 adults from the village looking at them. Taeja asks Adelia if she wants to wait in the village or back at the cabin, and she replies that she would like to stay in the village and gather more information on the Grode tribe if that's okay with him. Taeja replies that's fine with him, then Adelia waves at Taeja, telling him that she'll see him soon, to which Taeja replies okay. He then opens the map and is transported, together with Hela, back to the cabin. Hela jumps onto the table and wishes Taeja good luck, and Taeja tells her he'll be back. Taeja, while annoyed, wonders how he is even supposed to make all of this food. He then suddenly remembers the note Adelia gave him and pulls it out from his pocket. The note reads, there are no known purple potions that have a psychological effect. However, it is possible that color was added to another potion to hide its true identity. In this case, we'll need more information regarding its effects. Taeja thumps his head on the wall as he thinks that he may need to keep an eye on his brother for a while. He's convinced that it's something that Sloan slipped to his brother in secret, but there's no way his brother would admit that. Taija curses this whole situation and then tells himself that Sloan better not have done anything to hurt his brother. All he can do now is keep an eye on his brother. He then arrives at the restaurant and with a smile tells his brother Taehyung that he's back. Sometime later, the scene shifts to the Grode village, where Adelia is happily serving food to the kids as she asks who still hasn't gotten their sweet and sour pork. One kid replies that he hasn't, while another politely asks if he could get seconds. Taija is seen leaning against a wall in the distance, while he and Hala stare at Adelia and the kids. Hala asks Taija if there's something wrong, and he replies by asking what she means by that. Hala replies that she was just wondering, as it looked like something was bothering him. Taija says that he's all right, and Hala replies with whatever. The chief approaches Taija, bowing her head and saying that he has her most profound gratitude. Taija replies that he didn't do it for her and asks why she doesn't go and enjoy her meal. Meanwhile, Hala looks at Taija and thinks that there is definitely something on his mind. The chief says that she would like to offer Taija one of their artifacts to show their appreciation. Taija says that he's already been paid for this delivery, while Hala wonders if this starving village actually has an artifact. The chief guarantees that this artifact will serve Taija well, and both Taija and Hala agree to see it. As they arrive at the artifact's location, the chief removes the large cloth covering it. Upon doing this, both Taija and Hala became shocked at what they saw. The artifact was a modern red motorcycle. Both Taija and Hala wonder why there is a motorcycle there. The chief asks Taija if he likes the artifact, and Taija trips over his words at first before thanking the chief for the motorcycle. The chief tells him that this is nothing compared to what he's done for them. Taija looks at Hala and asks her if they should take the motorcycle out for a test drive, and Hala says that the motorcycle definitely looks to be of top quality. She tells him to try turning on the ignition. Upon turning on the ignition, flames can be seen coming out of the motorcycle, and a loud vroom sound can be heard coming from it. Taija is happy to see that the motorcycle shoots flames when you start it up, thinking that it's so cool, and Hala tells him that it sort of reminds her of the bike she used to ride. Hala tells him that he already has the scooter, which is always kept at the cabin. All he needs to do is think of the bike he wants to use while turning the key, and Taija says that this sounds simple enough. Taija then shakes the chief's hand, thanking her for the gift, before leaving to see Adelia. Once he arrives at where Adelia is, he asks her if she has gotten some rest, but she tells him that she just finished stacking all the plates while looking at them on top of a table. Taija just replies by saying, "Oh, okay," while Hala thinks that Adelia is too diligent. Taija then tells Adelia that they should go, to which she agrees and follows behind him. As they leave the Grode village, the trio wish the Grode people goodbye, and the Grode people wish for God to watch over their journey. While on the outskirts of the village, Adelia asked Taija if they really had to leave so soon. Taija says that they have a delivery deadline to meet, and then suggests that she's the reason they are behind schedule. This annoys Adelia, as she asks why he is blaming her. She asks if he's saying that it was wrong for them to provide meals for starving people, and even if the Grode people could only pay in junk, Taija could still exchange it for $5,000. Taija just glances at Adelia, asking if she said something just now. He asks her a rhetorical question, if she knew how many people were in that village, and he answers 75 people. He then asks her if she knew that his brother almost worked himself to death in order to fill that order. Adelia, now expressionless, says that he never told her that, so how could she know? Taehyung, with a serious expression, tells Adelia that she's patting herself on the back for a good deed she didn't do herself. It's not like she helped out with any of the cooking. She replies that an aristocrat is obliged to help out all those in need. Taija says, "All those in need?" He asks where that sense of obligation was when Apicius and her sister were in need of being saved. These words shock Hala, and Adelia, now looking a bit angry, tells him to watch his words. Taija tells her that she's the one who needs to watch her words. Where was that sense of justice when she was standing in front of her father? Did she have a nice time playing the saint in front of the Grode tribe people? This aggravates Adelia even more, but before she could say something, Taija stops her, saying she's not done with her yet. He asks when she is going to drop the good girl act. This shocks Adelia, wondering what act he's talking about. Taija says that she sent guards to kill him not too long ago. Did she really think he would fall for her act after all that and decide to forgive her for everything? Now with a smug look, he asks her if it felt good to feed those starving kids. He then says, fine, whatever. He will give her credit for that good deed, even though she basically did nothing but sit on her ass. He then continues berating her, asking if she even planned to think far ahead, like when it would be the next time they would be able to return to the Grode village. Wasn't she supposed to be the head of some intelligence agency? Did she really not know about the people living here? The poor blonde is seen standing expressionless, taking in all the criticism. Now angered, Taija asks her if she knew about the Grode people all this time, but chose to ignore them instead. Good for her, he says. After neglecting them for so long, she finally gave them one nice meal. If she really cared about the people there, she could have provided them with hundreds or even thousands of meals by now. He then sarcastically says that it seems like the noble lady Benzali needs to remain neutral and unbiased until she gets a chance to see the situation for herself. Is that right? Hala tries to stop Taija from talking any further, telling him that's enough. However, Taija approaches Adelia, saying he would like to ask one last thing. Now, right up to her face, he asks if she has ever done anything to help the starving people of her own domain. Taija then walks away, saying that Adelia should quit running her mouth about stuff she knows nothing about, feeling disgusted by her. Hala asks if they are just going to leave Adelia there, but Taija does not respond, which makes her say that they can't just leave her there. This annoys Taija, which prompts him to ask, wasn't she the one who suggested that he cut Adelia loose? Hala says that she did, but not like this. What if something happens to Adelia? She suggests that everyone will blame Taija. Taija continues walking forward angrily and says that Adelia is the daughter of Count Benzali, so he's sure that there are plenty of guards watching over her from the shadows. Hala then says that she doesn't get it. Why is he so angry? She thought Taija was cool with Adelia. Taija looks at Hala and asks her what she thinks is the worst thing a person can do to a poor person, to which she says she doesn't know, and asks what. He answers, pity them. Hala asks what is wrong with that. Taija says that it fills them with false hope. He explains that you start thinking that the world might not be such a bad place, and you keep fighting to make the most of your situation. Until the moment you realize that no one cares about you anymore, since you figure out that they weren't really trying to help you, but it was an act of pity to make themselves feel better. You will plunge into despair after realizing this harsh truth. Does she know how painful it is to realize how hopeless one's life is? After seeing Taija's expression as he says this, Hala apologizes to him, saying she didn't know. Taija says that no one does until they experience it firsthand. So many charitable acts are just an excuse for the wealthy to confirm that there are still others beneath them, and no one understands just how terrible that makes you feel. Taija, with a hand now covering his face, apologizes to Hala, saying he didn't mean to take it out on her. Hala transforms back into her original size and places a hand on his shoulder, saying that it's okay. Taija then says that maybe he shouldn't blame people for trying to help. It's not like they are obligated to do so anyway, and he apologizes right after. Hala apologizes to him as well. Hala then shrinks back onto Taija's shoulder and tells him that they should at least wait until they get to a town or village before cutting Adelia loose, as that would be better for all of them, and Taija agrees. Suddenly, a loud sound is heard, which puts Taija on high alert and prompts Hala to wonder what it is. A golem-like monster with a red circle face appears right in front of Adelia as she stands frozen in front of it. Taija grips his sword and asks Adelia what the hell she is doing, telling her to run, while Hala asks where the hell did such a thing come from. Adelia is seen frozen in fear, trembling at the sight of the monster, and unable to think about what she should do next. Suddenly, a group of guards appear in front of Adelia to protect her. The monster begins attacking the guards, landing a hit on one of them and sending him flying backwards towards a tree, completely knocking out the guard. As the monster goes for another strike, Taija yells to get it together as he rushes towards the golem and swings his sword. The impact causes a big explosion, but the monster still seems to be intact. Panicked, Taija asks Hala for the key, to which she tells him to hang on. Hala grabs the key and quickly gives it to Taija. Taija turns the key in the air, and the new red motorcycle appears, and at the same time, he begins swinging his sword. Taija, looking nervous, is hoping for this to work. He then shoots something out with his sword pointed at the monster, telling it to back off. The attack hits the monster, who sees it coming and attempts to block it with his arms. The attack causes a loud and powerful explosion, which sends Adelia flying backwards. Teja arrives on his motorcycle at where Adelia landed and reaches his hand out to her, telling her to come with him if she wants to live.
Come with me if you want to live.
She complies, and both are now seen riding the motorcycle. Adelia asks if the monster is dead, and Teja tells her that it's not, as that explosion didn't come from him. Teja then notices the monster behind them, rampaging through the forest as it follows them. Hela tells him to turn on the headlights, but he says that would just slow them down. He tells them to hold on tight as he accelerates, and with a stern look, says that no one can keep up with him when it comes to riding in the dark. The monster is seen chasing behind them as Teja speeds up. He then asks what that thing is supposed to be, and Adelia tells him that she believes it's a monster called the dummy mass. She further explains that a dummy mass is created when a minotaur survives the toxic waters of these wetlands. Teja asks, didn't she say that nothing could survive the water of these swamps? Adelia replies that survival is rare, but can still happen, mentioning that a minotaur is already a powerful creature, so one that has survived the toxins and heavy gravity of the swamps should be quite formidable. Hela asks how they are supposed to kill it, and Adelia replies that there isn't a known method of killing one, so they'll just have to hit the monster with as much firepower as they can. Teja says there's no way he can defeat that monster right now, adding that after seeing what that beast is capable of, he doesn't see himself defeating it. Hela asks Adelia if she has any magic scrolls left, and she replies that she has only defensive ones, but no attack scrolls. The monster picks up a tree and tosses it at the trio riding the motorcycle. Luckily, the tree doesn't hit them, as Teja managed to dodge it. Hela tells Teja that she thought he said he could outride anyone in the dark, but he says, anyone, not anything. He adds that he could have outrun the monster if he actually knew the surrounding area. Hela, looking a bit bothered, says she didn't want to have to use this. Adelia asks if there is something she can do, and Teja asks Hela what she was saving it for. Was she waiting for them to be already dead? This prompts Hela to use the item immediately. She says that since this hasn't been customized for this bike, it won't last long. Suddenly, the boost takes effect, and the motorcycle becomes engulfed in flames, and then a skull engulfed in flames is seen. The boost to the speed of the motorcycle is significant, as Teja wonders what's with the sudden burst of speed, as it leaves a trail of flames along its path. Teja asks how much more they have, and Hela responds that the boost won't last much longer, maybe another 10 seconds or so. Upon hearing this, Teja takes action and begins turning the motorcycle around. When Adelia questions what he's doing, he says that if escape isn't an option, then there's only one thing they can do. And the trio is now seen facing the direction of the monster and heading towards it. Teja pulls out his sword and orders Hela to go full speed ahead, and she replies that he doesn't need to tell her twice. Now, within mere feet of the monster, Teja successfully strikes it with his sword. The trio then lands behind the monster and notices that it looks like the attack didn't have any effect, as the monster is still standing. Teja says that it looks like they'll just have to make a run for it at this point. Out of nowhere, the crack from the sword slash expands, and the monster is completely cut in half, its body crashing onto the floor. The group is relieved that they managed to make it out of that situation alive. Hela, looking tired, says she thought they were done for, and slowly floats closer to Teja. He asks her how she became so tiny, but she says that she has no idea and needs some sleep right now. Teja then thanks Hela for saving them, putting her in his bag, telling her to get some rest. At this point, his bag seems like a Pokeball. Adelia sits on her knees beside the motorcycle, still dazed by the situation. Teja reaches his hand out to her while smiling, asking her what she's doing. He tells her that she shouldn't be sitting on the ground. Adelia takes his hand and apologizes, saying that she couldn't feel her legs for a second. They both get on the motorcycle and begin riding away. While on the motorcycle, Adelia muses that reading about something is nothing like seeing the real thing for yourself. She now understands why Teja became so angry with her earlier when she was talking about her duties as an aristocrat. She then blushes right after. Suddenly, Teja looks back at Adelia for a moment. He then chuckles and asks her what's on her mind. He then apologizes to her, which catches her off guard. He tells her that he was too harsh on her, as he knows that her heart was in the right place. Adelia, looking a bit sad, also apologizes to him. Teja accepts the apology and then notices that they've arrived at their destination. Teja and Adelia are surprised by the size of the building in front of them, which is seen wrapped around by large vines of a tree. Teja makes his way up the vines until reaching the entrance of the building. He then raises his hand to knock on the door and ask if anyone is there. But before he can do so, the door suddenly opens automatically, leaving Adelia surprised, but Teja looks annoyed. He asks if this is some sort of requirement for the homes of archmages, as he wonders why they don't just keep the door open at that point. The archmage Vogue is then seen climbing down the stairs. He looks at them and asks what happened to them. Teja casually says that they ran into a monster on their way to his home, and Adelia adds that they barely managed to slay a dummy mass. Vogue is surprised at the mention of the dummy mass. He then asks them if they remembered to collect the artifacts, to which Teja has no idea what he means, but Adelia replies that they didn't collect them as they didn't really have the chance to do so. Vogue is disappointed they didn't collect the artifacts, and when Adelia inquires about the reason for his disappointment, he explains that a dummy mass is one of the ingredients to make the perfect blessing. He adds that a perfect blessing is a healing potion that could cure anyone of almost all wounds and illnesses. Suddenly, after hearing this, Teja grabs Vogue's hand, which makes Vogue ask him what's wrong. Teja, with a serious expression, then asks him if he could buy the perfect blessing from him. Teja takes out a box of jewels and asks if this would be enough to buy the perfect blessing from him. Vogue begins to inspect the jewels, while Teja tells him that he received these jewels from Count Benzali and Lord Gregory. Adelia says she can verify that these are all top-notch gems. Vogue, crossing his arms, says he believes her, but he's still not interested. Teja looks disappointed, asking if these jewels are not enough. Vogue dismisses the idea, saying it's not that, it's just that he doesn't have much interest in collecting treasures like some sort of dragon. Seeing Teja disappointed, Adelia asks Vogue if he would take something else then. Vogue begins to think about what that something else could be, as he thinks about Teja being a delivery boy delivering food from another realm. He then asks Teja if he could perhaps try some of his food first, to which Teja excitedly replies that he can. He pulls out some food from his delivery box, and Adelia asks Vogue if she should unwrap the food for him. Vogue is seen staring at the food in front of him, and then begins munching on it. Meanwhile, Teja and Adelia are seen on the side, looking nervous as they watch him eat. Vogue is seen savoring the food, when suddenly he tilts his head and stops for a second. This catches the attention of both Adelia and Teja, and they ask him if there was anything wrong with the food. Vogue ignores the question, then stands up and begins walking away. This makes both Adelia and Teja wonder what's going on. Suddenly, Vogue is seen holding an envelope, to which Teja says he should have known he had an errand for them. Vogue hands over the envelope to Teja and tells him it's a letter. Vogue asks him if he could please deliver that to Sir Michael, mentioning he's a knight who lives on Silver Lake. Teja says he guesses he could do that, but before he can say anything else, Vogue interrupts him, adding that if Teja could deliver some food to him, the perfect blessing would be his. This makes Teja excitedly switch into work mode, and he pulls out a flyer from his restaurant asking what he would like to order. Adelia is surprised at how fast Teja pulled out that flyer. Vogue takes the flyer from Teja and begins to think about what to order. A system notification appears, saying that an order of fried rice and a medium order of Kung Pao chicken have been ordered by the Archmage Vogue of the Stone Wetlands. The deadline is 5 hours. Vogue then asks Teja if he could also include a soup with that order, saying he'll pay for both of his orders together, and Teja says that he can. Teja then looks at Adelia, asking her what she plans to do, and she tells him that she'll stay there. Teja turns around to leave and tells Adelia that he'll see her later, and Adelia says the same. After Teja leaves, Vogue asks Adelia if she would like some tea while she waits, and she says yes, but if possible, she would like to ask him a question first. Vogue tells her to go ahead and that he'll try to answer it if he can. Adelia's face becomes a bit more serious as she tells him that she's only asking this because he's the one who invented that perfect blessing potion. She asks him how much he knows about human psychology. The scene shifts to Teja, who is thinking about how his brother would benefit from the perfect blessing potion, but then something catches his eye. He looks outside a window and thinks that there isn't much time difference between their realms. Teja is enjoying the nice view outside, but then suddenly a terrible memory floods into his mind of dead people on the floor. This memory makes him sick, and he begins to vomit. He begins breathing heavily as he holds a hand to his mouth, and then he looks at his hands more closely. He notices that his hands are trembling from this memory and tries to calm down, as he tells himself that it's okay, as that wasn't his fault. He's not the one who killed them, and that there was nothing he could do. Taeja arrives at his restaurant, where he sees his brother sleeping on the kitchen floor for some reason. He thinks about how his brother is fast asleep right now, and then turns the valve of the sink to wash his mouth. As he slurps some water and begins washing his hands, his brother Taehyung shows up right next to him, asking him if he's home, which scares the crap out of Taeja. Now, breathing heavily, Taeja tells Taehyung to please not sneak up on him like that, and Taehyung responds that this is how he feels when Taeja portals in out of nowhere. Taeja tries to argue that the portal is different, as it's not exactly subtle, but Taehyung, looking at the order, tells him that it almost chopped off his finger. Taeja apologizes for that, and Taehyung tells him that the order is small, so it shouldn't take long to prepare. Taeja then asks Taehyung if it's just him or if his cooking has gotten faster. Taehyung replies that it's all thanks to him, and Taeja asks what he means by that. Taehyung explains that everyone has been coming to eat inside their restaurant ever since Taeja stopped delivering food in their realm. Taeja feels guilty about the amount of work his brother has gone through due to this, and thinks that perhaps they should hire another delivery boy. Taehyung says that customers want to know when Taeja will be back, and that he told them that Taeja was taking some time off. Taeja wonders what's with that question. Taehyung leaves, saying he's going to bed, and Taeja waves goodbye, telling him to get some rest. As he finishes waving goodbye to his brother, he thinks, well then. The scene shifts to him inside the restaurant with a serious expression, as he says it's time to go on a treasure hunt. He begins looking around the restaurant in search of something, as he muses that there's no way Taehyung would go see a psychiatrist, since his agoraphobia, which is a type of anxiety disorder, won't even let him leave the house to visit their grandparents' graves. Taehyung probably already knows that Taeja caught on to his lie, which is why Taeja must find that potion right now before Taehyung hides it somewhere better. Taeja, still searching for the potion, wonders if he were Taehyung, where would he hide it? Suddenly, he notices a box he's never seen before and wonders if it has always been there. As he opens the box, he finds multiple potions inside, to which he grins and reaches out his hand to grab them as he says, bingo. Before Taeja could grab the potions, Taehyung showed up behind him, calling out his name, which made Taeja freeze in place. Taeja looks back at Taehyung and tells him that he thought Taehyung was going to bed, to which Taehyung replies that he remembered that he still had prep to do for tomorrow. In the next moment, Taehyung's expression turns serious as he asks Taeja what he's doing there. Taeja responded that he was getting a glass of water when he noticed that there was still prep work to do for tomorrow, so he thought he would take care of it for Taehyung. Taehyung helps him up, saying that he doesn't need to do that, but Taeja says that Taehyung has been so busy because of him, so much so that Taehyung had to sleep in the kitchen, so he felt bad. Taehyung asks if he was looking for something. What was he staring at? Sweat drips from Taeja's face, and he then asks if that box over there is the stuff Taehyung got from his psychiatrist. Taehyung tells him that it is. He adds that he got them all pre-portioned so that he doesn't have to mix up a new dose every time he needs one. He's limiting himself to 5 bottles a day. Any more than that will interfere with his work. Taeja smiles and tells him that's very responsible of him. Taehyung looks at him smiling and asks Taeja if he would like another one, but Taeja declines, saying he still has the one he gave him last time. Taehyung shuts the box and asks Taeja if the potion worked for him, but Taeja replies that he doesn't know, he couldn't tell. Taeja looks at his brother and says that maybe he shouldn't have taken it with river water. Taehyung looks at him worried, telling him that he should be more careful with the type of water he drinks. Taeja replies that he saw someone else drink the water, so he figured it was okay. Taeja places down the bowl of onions and asks if this is enough, to which his brother replies that it is and thanks him. Taeja then asks his brother if he wants any help with prep, but Taehyung declines, saying that Taeja has already helped him enough by carrying the bowl of onions upstairs. Taeja then tells Taehyung that he's leaving now, and Taehyung, who is now washing the onions, thanks him for his help. Taeja heads downstairs to the storage and nervously looks back upstairs. He then breathes out some air in relief, telling himself that was a close one. He then pulls out a potion from his pocket and says that his brother didn't notice that he swapped out one of the potions. With a stern look, he says that this should give Adelia plenty of information. Taehyung finishes washing the onions and closes the sink valve. He dries his hands and then hears the sound of a bell, making him turn to look and see who it is. He sees a young man with blonde hair, pointy ears similar to an elf, and holding a golden color cane. Taehyung asks the young blonde man who he is, and the young man replies that the dwarfy idiot requested that he pay a visit to him. Taehyung is confused by the word dwarfy at first before understanding, and the blonde man says that the dwarfy guy told him that trouble might be headed Taehyung's way, and if any of this rings a bell for him. Taehyung says he thinks that his brother has caught on to the truth behind the potion he's taking, and that his brother probably realized this is the reason he's changed. The blonde man now stands straight, tapping his cane on the floor, and asks what Taehyung would like him to do. He adds that he's sure Taehyung doesn't want to go back to the way he used to be, so he must tell him what he wants. Taehyung says that he wants the blonde man to buy him some time. When the blonde man replies, "Time?" Taehyung says yes, just until he can get by without anyone's help, and then he looks at his family photo. Taehyung is then about to request something else from the blonde man, and in the next moment, he is seen alone, covering his face with one hand. He holds his hand closer to his mouth and apologizes to Taeja, then to his mom and dad, while his body shivers from the current situation. He then turns around and leaves, while a potion can be seen behind him on the counter. Taeja is back at Vog's place, and Adelia welcomes him back. He asks where Vog is, and she tells him that Vog stepped out to get a book from his study. Adelia asks him where Hela is. Taeja says that she's still sleeping. He then says that this is perfect, while pulling something out of his pocket, and Adelia wonders what he means by that. He hands over the potion to her and tells her to look into it for him. Adelia asks about the potion he gave her, and Taeja tells her that she had told him that she needed more information on that potion. So there's her information. Adelia smiles and puts it in her pocket, saying this should be plenty. Taeja asks how long the investigation will take, and she replies that it will take half a day or a full day at most. He then asks how she will travel, and she replies that she still has some scrolls left. He then asks her when she will leave, and she replies that after she hears back from Lord Vog about something. Adelia then asks if Taeja will be coming with her. Taeja says no, and that they should plan to leave separately. He explains that as soon as he finishes with this delivery to Sir Michael, he plans to go home immediately after receiving the perfect blessing. Adelia says she understands. Vog returns holding a book in one hand and a box in the other, and says that was fast. Adelia, now holding the book, asks what it is, and Vog says that it's a book that might have the answers she's looking for, and then says that the black box is for the food. Taeja thanks him and opens the box to find a lot of gold coins inside. Vog then tells him to try pressing the button on the bottom of the box. Taeja looks for the button and finds it, ultimately clicking it. The bottom of the box opens to reveal a big diamond inside. Taeja asks what this is about, and Vog replies that he heard that any gifts Taeja receives need to be separate from the delivery payment. Taeja looks at Adelia and asks her if she had anything to do with this. She replies that it's something she noticed when he let her read his contract. Taeja puts the black box inside his delivery box and thanks her, and she replies by saying it's nothing. Taeja then thanks Vog, while Adelia tells Vog goodbye. Vog tells them that it was a pleasure to have their company as he waves goodbye to them. Taeja asks Adelia if she will be leaving now, and she replies that she is since she got what she needed. Taeja's face turns serious, telling Adelia he's counting on her. He adds that he's not sure how she will take this, but he believes her to be a trustworthy person, at least as far as he knows her now. This makes Adelia tear up and begin crying. This catches Taeja off guard as he asks her why she's crying. Adelia asks if she's really crying, and then says she doesn't know what has come over her. She then stops crying and looks full of confidence. She looks at Taeja and promises to get to the truth behind the potion. As she begins to leave, she tells Taeja to be careful out there, and Taeja thanks her, wishing her the same. Taeja is now seen outside in the forest, riding his red motorcycle, as he makes his way down the trees. A person is then seen floating above him, watching him as he rides his motorcycle. The person looks at Taeja from above, saying that he must be the one his father was talking about. This person is revealed to be a boy with white hair who is dressed in a fashion similar to the blonde elf we saw visiting Taehyung at his restaurant. Taeja is still riding through the forest when Hela finally wakes up and starts yawning. Taeja asks her if she's finally up, and she asks him where they are heading to now. He replies to Silver Lake. When she asks what for, he tells her that he's running an errand for Lord Vog. Hela then asks where Adelia is, and Taja tells her that Adelia had something else to take care of. Hela, while stretching, guesses that the leader of a secret organization shouldn't leave their post for too long, to which Tajea replies, "Is that so?" Suddenly, they go through some kind of barrier or field while riding, and Hela looks shocked. Taja asks her what's wrong, and she tells him that she just got a strange feeling as she looks at the fog in the distance. Taja tells her that it sounds like she's not fully awake yet, and she says maybe, and she yawns again. In the next moment, Hela yells to watch out as she points at something. This makes Taja panic and hit the brakes, finally coming to a complete stop. Taja gets off his bike as he looks at something, wondering what it could be, and Hela says that this must be what she was feeling. A big city is then revealed in the next panel, with the entrance upstairs having statues of two female angels with their wings raised to the sky. Taja, now back on his bike, asks if they really have to go inside, and Hela replies that it would keep following them around, so they might as well get it over with. It looks like they accidentally entered a dungeon. Defeating the boss will be the quickest way out. Tajea wonders what a dungeon is, and Hela says that it's a special space that can only be exited by fulfilling its requirements. Usually, that's defeating the boss, and you get prizes too. As Taja steps inside, he says that the prize part doesn't sound so bad. He then looks around the place, and Hela tells him if he's looking for the entrance, it's right there, while pointing towards it. Taja then glances at another location, smirking as he claims that he found it. This makes Hela look at him in confusion. She then asks him what he's doing wandering around here for, and he replies that he wants to check this place out first. Taja begins looking down at the arena before asking if maybe the boss only appears when they go down there. Hela says that yeah, it could be that kind of setup. Taja then says that he doesn't want to go, as this feels like a trap. Hela says they could just camp out here, asking him if he brought his blankie with him. Taja begins walking again, looking around other places. He then asks Hela what she thinks they will have to fight. Hela replies that she doesn't know, but she's sure they won't be playing rock, paper, scissors though. Suddenly, they hear a loud growling, and a strong gust of wind hits them. Taja says this sounds like, but before he can finish his sentence, we see a similar monster to the one that was previously chasing them, known as the dummy mass. It growls loudly through the arena, destroying everything on its path. Taja says damn it, and Hela points at the monster, saying that she thought they were supposed to be rare. The dummy mass jumps really high into the air, and as it lands, it extends a punch facing downwards, which causes a loud tremble on impact with the ground below. Taja escapes the impacted location by riding his summoned bike. He asks Hela if they can use her booster again. She replies that they can't, as she still hasn't recovered from the last one. They now stand in front of the monster, and the monster notices them and launches something at them. The duo manages to escape the impact, as the monster still watches them from a distance. Taja asks if there's any chance they could wear the monster down, but Hela replies that that would take all day. Taja begins to accelerate again, but this time towards the monster, who growls loudly and also runs towards Taja. With his sword ready in hand, as he gets closer to the monster, Taja grits his teeth, saying that he has already taken down one of these monsters. He then slashes through the monster, landing behind it and coming to a complete stop. He then finishes his previous sentence by saying, so he's sure he can do it again. The monster then falls, and Hela asks why he asked for her help then. Taja replies that he would rather be safe than sorry, making Hela reply, so that's how it is then. Taja then steps on the monster, asking if this is the boss, wondering where his reward is. Hela thinks this is strange, saying that you usually get a prize box or something. Then they are both caught by surprise when they hear a voice in the distance, telling them that that wasn't the boss. In the next moment, Taja's red motorcycle is hit hard by something, and the next panel reveals the boy we saw earlier with white hair, now with his foot on top of the red motorcycle. The boy grins while looking at Taja, and Taja yells at him, angrily asking if the boy has any idea what kind of bike that was. Hela sarcastically says, a bike he got for free that can repair itself. The boy ignores Taja's question and says that it's nice to meet him. As the boy is about to introduce himself, he sees an attack coming at him, which causes him to quickly react and avoid it. The boy then tells Taja that he should know that even villains deserve a proper introduction. Taja, still angry, tells the boy that the attack was for his bike, calling him a jerk. Hela, looking at the boy, wonders if the boy is Zion. The boy notices Hela making him smile and wave at her, calling her a hag and asking if she's still kicking. Hela angrily asks who the boy is calling a hag and if he wants to die. Taeja looks at Hela, wondering if she knows him, and Hela replies that the boy is the son of a real bastard. Taeja asks what she means by a real bastard, but suddenly the boy appears right in front of Taeja, saying that it's rude to talk about someone's family like that. And then, with a flick of his finger, he exerts great force, which sends Taeja flying backwards, ultimately crashing onto the floor. The boy then looks at his hand in confusion. Taeja gets up, cleaning himself up as he asks the boy who he is. Hela tries to swipe the smog around her, saying that she'll be coughing all day thanks to the boy. The boy then bows and introduces himself, saying that his name is Zion. He then smiles and reveals that he works as a delivery boy for his father. Taeja asks, "A delivery boy?" Zion smirks and asks what's the matter. Didn't he think there would be other delivery boys out here? He then snaps his fingers, saying he happens to be a bit busy, so he'll cut right to the chase. Suddenly, a sword starts coming out of a portal, and Zion grabs the sword as he tells Taeja that they should see which one of them has the superior sword. A notification appears saying that Zion is holding the sword of Wayland, the god of the blacksmiths. Taeja readies for the fight and tells Hela to get back in his pocket. She replies to be careful, as the sword Zion is holding looks dangerous, and he replies that he will. Zion makes the first move, saying that, ready or not, here he comes. He dashes towards Taeja, and their swords clash, leading to a blade lock. They both take some distance and swing their swords again, leading to another blade lock. Zion smiles, saying that's Hephaestus' sword all right, adding that it's holding quite well. Taeja tells him to give it up, as his sword is unbreakable, adding that Zion will never be able to put even a dent in it. Zion pushes himself out of the blade lock while he laughs excitedly. He then smiles and says that in these parts, there's one word people should never put their faith in. He lunges excitedly to attack Taeja again, and continues by saying, and that word is never. Taeja uses his delivery box as a shield to block Zion's attack. They are now close face to face again, and Zion tells Taeja that his delivery box seems to be another amazing artifact. Taeja replies that his delivery box has gotten him out of more than a few jams. Zion begins jumping backwards as he tells Taeja that it seems like he hasn't made that many deliveries with his delivery box. In the next moment, Zion lands a kick on Taeja's ribs, making him scream in pain as a crack is heard. Hela expresses worry as she screams, "No!" Taeja crashes loudly into the ground. Zion takes hold of Hela, asking where she thinks she's going, calling her a hag. Hela ignores him as she yells towards Taeja, asking if he's still alive. A lot of smog is seen in the air, and there is no sign of Taeja. Hela is seen a bit shocked as she calls out Taeja's name softly, and Zion tells her not to worry, as there are plenty of artifacts that can bring the dead back to life. Hela's eyes become teary as she removes Zion's hand from her, calling him a bastard. She grows back to her normal size, grabbing Zion's arm and telling him to go to hell, but he dodges her attack as he apologizes to her, saying that he's not planning on dying before his father's ambitions are fulfilled. At the same time, another slice attack is seen, and in a split second, Zion is beheaded. His head lands some distance away from his body, and he tries to think about what just happened. Hela is also confused as to what's going on. Taeja appears, holding his sword in his hand, with a blue aura flowing around him. He responded to Zion's earlier comment about helping his dad achieve his ambitions, telling him to then go help out his dad and quit bothering them. Hela rushes towards Taeja, asking if he's all right. He replies that he is, and that he'll manage. Zion's head looks at Taeja and asks if his delivery box always had an incognito skill. Hela is taken aback by this and threatens him to say another word, and she will crush him. Taeja replies that Zion is surprisingly out of the loop for a know-it-all, isn't he? Zion's head is now floating, and he says that he can't believe he let some lousy human take his head. This means he still has a long way to go. Taeja reminds Zion that he's also human, and Hela says that Zion is out of his mind. Zion puts his head back on his body and then says that he hates humans. Taeja asks Zion if that also means he hates himself. He then asks him why he doesn't just go jump off a cliff. Hela, now looking annoyed, adds that it should preferably be a cliff that's very far away. Zion says that he became a delivery boy because he wanted to be accepted by his father's kind. Taeja wonders what he means by his father's kind. Hela tells Taeja that Zion's father is like an elf or something. This makes Zion smile, as he says, an elf. Well, he guesses they wouldn't be wrong. Zion then cracks and snaps his neck while asking Taeja for his reason for being a delivery boy. Taeja, resting his sword on his shoulder, asks why he should have to tell him. At the same time, Hela is seen nodding in agreement. Zion says he's just curious, claiming that he and Taeja are colleagues after all. Taeja replies, "Colleagues? He just tried to kill him." Taeja continues by telling Zion to let them out of this dungeon, otherwise he'll slice Zion's head off again, as he points his sword at him. Zion thinks about this for a moment, and then looks up at the sky, saying that he's afraid he can't do that. Taeja asks why he can't, and Hela says that it's because Zion is insane. That's why. Suddenly, a notification appears in front of Taeja, the title of which is Personal Tutor, and it says that Zion, Dry's exclusive delivery boy, challenges him to a duel. It says that he must get close enough to Zion to brush the hem of his coat. Just a single touch will be enough for Taeja to win. In summary, Taeja wins if he comes into contact with Zion or his clothing. The reward is one of Zion's artifacts. The penalty is that he will not be allowed to leave the Colosseum until sunrise. Taeja finds the system notification strange, noting that it's not telling him how he can lose this challenge. Zion tells him that admitting defeat will count as a loss. Taeja asks which artifact he will get if he wins. Zion tells him that he will let him choose from a list, noting that his father warned him that Taeja would be a pain to deal with, but he didn't think Taeja would be this bad. Taeja holds his sword with both hands, looking straight at Zion and saying he's ready to begin. Hela tells him that Zion let him off easy last time, so he should not underestimate him. Taeja replies that he won't, adding that he only accepted the duel because he has something up his sleeve. Taeja then swings his sword quickly. The attack brings up a lot of smoke around them, and Hela, surprised by the attack, asks if he got him. Taeja says no, adding that he believes Hela jinxed him. As the smoke clears up, Zion is seen in the distance, saying that it was a good idea to make the first move. However, this is useless against someone who is obviously more powerful than him. Zion reaches his hand out, and right after, a red magic circle appears under Taeja, catching him off guard. Still shocked by the red magic circle under him, Taeja doesn't move, but Hela tells him that it's okay, as he can block this. Zion smiles and tells him to try it then. A red magic attack that looks like a ball of flame envelops his hand, which then heads in the direction of Taeja at the snap of Zion's fingers. Taeja stands in place with his sword in one hand and his delivery box in the other as he yells the word absorb. The flames engulf him, and his pupil turns red. The scene shifts to another room, which has a lot of lights and books, and Adelia is seen reading a paper with a worried expression on her face. The paper she's holding flutters, and she covers one of her eyes while looking at the paper in her hand, and says that these side effects all sound so grim. She then thinks about the worst-case scenario, and suddenly, a note appears. Its title is Number 7 Bliss, saying that it's a potion that has no known recipe or inventor. It is colorless, odorless, and tasteless, and will make the user forget all their past traumas. The effects can be felt immediately after consumption. It is highly addictive, and those who take this potion will be dependent on it for the rest of their lives. The recommended dosage is 1 sip per day. Exceeding this will result in memory loss. Adelia thinks that soon, Taeyong will not even remember who Taeja is. The scene changes back to the fight. A notification shows that deflection has been activated and that there are no more uses left. The flame magic attack gets deflected, and Taeja stands there unscathed but also nervous at his current situation. Zion asks him what's the matter. He figures that Taeja can't deflect any more of his attacks before quickly closing the distance between them, which catches Taeja off guard. Zion activates his Fenrir assassination technique, Famished Fang, and attacks Taeja with it. Taeja attempts to block it with his delivery box, but the attack is so powerful that it sends him flying backwards, despite him using his delivery box as a shield. Taeja is now seen on the floor, injured by the impact of the attack, and Hela asks him if he's alright. Taeja struggles before finally getting up and replies just barely. Hela breathed a sigh of relief as she thought he was seriously done. Zion, now smiling, asks if Taeja is ready to call it quits. Taeja replies over his dead body, and Hela asks him if he's sure about this. Taeja tells her to have some faith, as he has always pulled through up until now, but before he can finish the rest of his sentence, Zion is already up close, about to launch an attack with his sword. He slashes his sword right at Taeja, telling him it's an honor to give Taeja his first taste of defeat. Taeja is seen frozen in place as the slash is ready to cut right through him. Hela yells in despair as she tries to grab onto Taeja, who is now on the floor with his sword no longer in hand. She shakes him multiple times with tears dripping from her eyes as she calls out his name, hoping that he wakes up. Zion puts away his sword as he thinks about what a letdown Taeja was. Zion adds that he doesn't understand why Lord Sloan hired someone like Taeja, and that Sloan should have just let him handle all the deliveries. Right after saying this, he feels something is wrong, and a sword is seen stabbing him through his body. It is revealed that Taeja is behind him, telling him he's not done with him, and Hela looks at Taeja in complete shock. Unimpressed, Zion casually slips from the stab, now looking completely fine. Taeja swings his sword at him, making Zion jump back to dodge. Hela tells Taeja that he should have told her that he was planning to resurrect himself. He replies that he didn't want to ruin the surprise. Zion says that he didn't expect Taeja to find a resurrection artifact this early in his career, which prompts Taeja to ask him if he's jealous. Zion replies that not at all, before lunging forward for another attack. Taeja is ready to attack as well, when Hela questions what the hell he is doing. Taeja lowers his center of gravity before preparing to swing his sword with great power. Zion takes note of this, saying that the attack looks like it might do some damage. As Taeja swings his sword, a powerful attack brushes past Zion and explodes loudly behind him. Zion looks back at the impact before saying that it's such a shame. He bets that was Taeja's ultimate attack too. Taeja replies that it's a shame, alright, but for him. He then points at Zion with a smirk, apologizing for his fancy coat. This makes Zion look at his arm in confusion, where he notices the impact actually grazed him. Zion now looks shocked, asking how this could happen. He notes that the sword Taeja holds may be Hephaestus' sword indeed, but there's no way Taeja possesses the power to use it like that. Taeja smirks, replying that it wasn't his power, but it was actually Zion's power, as he shows him his delivery box. We then go back in time, where Taeja was knocked to the ground by Zion's powerful attack, and Taeja is seen complaining about his back and noticing his delivery box behind him. He thanks his delivery box for saving his life at least a dozen times in the past, and now as well. As he tries to get up, he says that he doesn't stand a chance against Zion without his delivery box and asks it to please help him. A notification about his delivery box then appears, where we see a new skill called duplication, which can replicate an attack that proved fatal against him. Taeja looks devastated as he thinks that he can only use this skill after he dies, but upon closer inspection, he smirks as he believes that this skill might actually come in handy. Back to the present, Taeja is finishing explaining the situation to Zion, where he tells him that if his powers aren't enough, he can just borrow Zion's. He then declares his victory and asks Zion to hand over his prize. This explanation makes Zion burst into laughter, saying that Taeja is more fun than he gave him credit for. Taeja becomes annoyed with Zion's laughter, asking if he's sure he wants to be laughing like that in his condition. Hela hops on Taeja's shoulder and praises him for his victory. Zion stops laughing and looks at the sky for a moment before closing his eyes, nodding in agreement and saying fine. He then summons a golden notebook, which opens right in front of Taeja and Hela, making them both stare at it in surprise. Looking annoyed while staring at the notebook, Taeja asks if this is what he thinks it is, and Hela says it looks like Zion got them good. Zion is then seen bowing to Taeja, welcoming him as his dear customer. With a bright smile, he asks Taeja what he can help him with today. Some blood is then seen spilling into a ring, and the ring now floats in front of Taeja, and both Hela and Taeja find the ring fascinating. A notification appears, saying Aranos' rage has absorbed Aranos' blood. Taeja's magic absorption limit has been greatly expanded, and the ring has been released from its seal. Taeja muses about the ring's seal. On the other hand, Zion gifts an artifact to Hela, and she wonders what it is. Zion tells her that it's something to help her be more spiritual. She asks in confusion what that is supposed to mean. Taeja asks if he can take a look at it, and Hela agrees, handing over the artifact, while Zion is seen grinning in the background. Zion claps his hands, saying that his job here is done. In the next instant, they seem to have been transported to another location outside of the arena, and Hela says that Taeja doesn't look too fazed, and he replies that after all he has seen, nothing surprises him anymore. Zion tells them to consider this a gift from him. He adds that sleeping inside that tent will help them recover their strength, and that it can also serve as a barrier to keep them hidden, adding that he even uses it himself. Taeja looks unimpressed by the gifts, and Hela wonders if Zion has cleaned the tent before giving it to them. Zion doesn't answer and disappears in the next second, saying later. Taeja asks if they should take a quick break as it feels like a storm just passed by, and Hela agrees, saying it's gotten pretty late. Zion is now seen hovering above the camp where Taeja and Hela are, looking pensive, before smiling and saying that this should have bought his father plenty of time. In the next scene, a dusty shelf with boxes is shown, and a box seems to be missing from it. Adelia is seen flipping through the pages of a book when suddenly, the extinguishing of some candles catches her attention. Then, her head begins to hurt, and she looks tired as she breathes out slowly. A young man who seems to be her servant suggests she should get some rest, given that she's been up all night. She tells him that she doesn't have much left to go through, so he should let her finish this first, to which the servant agrees to do so. She then asks the servant if they have all the supplies they need, to which he replies that they have everything except bliss. Another servant with red hair shows up, telling Adelia that the Count is calling for her. Adelia replies that she'll be right there, and quickly turns to the purple-haired servant, telling them to keep looking, but in the meantime, to make sure everything else is ready to go, and the servant complies with her request. She then steps out of the room and begins walking through the hallway, when suddenly a bright light hits her in the face. She notices it's daytime already and can't believe she stayed up all night as she begins to stretch her back. She then stretches her shoulder and says that Teja is probably at the lake by now. She wishes she were there to see the Holy Knights on their excursion and sighs at the thought of missing that. She hopes Teja hasn't left yet and then opens the door to where the Count is, quickly changing her expression to a more serious one before entering and kneeling before the Count. She tells him that she heard he had called for her, and the Count replies that he did, as he got tired of waiting for his own daughter to visit him on her own. She apologizes to him for not visiting, saying that she had an urgent matter to attend to, before letting out a nervous laughter. The Count asks about the urgent matter, and she tells him that she's currently investigating a potion that's capable of doing terrible things to the human mind. This explanation makes the Count get more serious as he asks what could be the reason for this sudden investigation of this potion. Adelia responds that during her travels with Teja, she came across someone who had developed an addiction to that potion, and when she saw how addictive and terrible the potion was, she felt compelled to look into it, just in case. The problem is that they still have no way to counteract the potion's effects, since they can't seem to find any information on its contents or even its inventor. The Count thinks about what Adelia said for a moment before replying that he agrees with her concerns and to please continue with her research. Adelia thanks her father, and he dismisses her, so she stands up and leaves. After leaving her father's throne room, she breathes a sigh of relief. She then thinks of a saying her father taught her, which says, "If you come across an opponent you can't lie to, you must minimize your truth." Adelia then begins walking through the hallway again, saying that her father has taught her well. Then we see the Count looking proud of her daughter, as he says that it looks like he taught her daughter well. A man kneels before the Count, saying he's here to give his report. The Count tells him to go ahead, and the man says that Adelia is investigating 7 potions, and all of them are reported to have psychological effects. He adds that Adelia has even prepared antidotes for every potion on her list except Bliss, and is soon departing for Silver Lake. The Count asks if the man has any idea who these antidotes are for, and the man replies that Teja is the only human Adelia has been in contact with. The Count then asks if there's anything else he needs to know, and the man says that Teja hasn't been seen since he cleared his dungeon, and they are still searching for him, and that they will report back as soon as they find something. While tapping his fingers on the chair, the Count thinks about Teja being the only human Adelia has been in contact with. He then reaches a conclusion and gets up from his chair, saying, "So that's how it is." The Count commands the man to send someone to the frozen wastelands, and the man complies with the order. As the Count begins to leave his throne room, he thinks about Sloane, saying that he's looking forward to seeing him soon. The scene then shifts back to Teja, who is riding his motorcycle through the forest. Hela begins to yawn, and Teja, annoyed, asks how she can still be sleepy. Hela bangs on Teja's helmet, telling him to shut up, asking if he has forgotten that she was the one who saved him from that dummy mass. Teja replies by asking why she thinks he let her sit on the sidelines during his fight against Zion. Hela denies sitting on the sidelines, claiming she was the one who distracted Zion so Teja could pluck his head off. Teja replies, "Plucked? It was a head, not a berry." Hela is then seen lying in boredom, asking how much further they have to go, and Teja replies that he's not sure. She asks if there is anything fun to do around there, and Teja replies that he's the only one who actually does any work. Hela smiles at the gift she obtained from Zion, saying that now she can help Teja out, but Taija pessimistically says yeah, but only for 5 minutes a day. The artifact Hela is holding is called Ludra's necklace, and it's a pendant that contains the will of Ludra, a human spirit hybrid. The necklace allows a spirit to contribute to the living without fear of retribution. Its use is limited to once per day for a duration of 5 minutes. Hela tells Taija that he has no idea how much it sucks to be stuck as a spirit, and he sarcastically replies if this is why she's trying to kill him. Taija then says that she sure looks happy, and Hela replies that she is because it's 5 whole minutes. Something then catches Taija's attention, and he begins to slow down before coming to a full stop, and Hela asks him what's wrong. Taija gets off his bike to look at the surroundings, seeing multiple trees cut down and a floor broken into pieces. Hela is surprised and asks what happened in this place, to which Taija replies, how should he know? The duo then hears something and looks in the direction of the noise, and Taija wonders about the people he's looking at. He then gets back on his bike, putting on his helmet and telling Hela to hang tight. He rushes towards the people he saw before coming to a stop and looks at a monster in shock. Hela wonders what the hell that thing is. We then see soldiers being knocked out while fighting this monster, and a female soldier commands the soldiers to be on their feet as they will never surrender, and the soldiers follow her command. The monster they are fighting looks like a giant plant monster. The plant monster attacks another soldier, and the soldier tries to block the attack with their shield, but the impact of the attack is too strong, and the soldier is sent flying. The captain of the soldiers lunges forward with her own attack and manages to cut one of the monster's arms. She grabs onto the soldier's arm that was sent flying, telling them to get back on their feet as the fight is almost over. The soldier obeys her command. The plant monster now seems infuriated and lets out a loud scream throughout the whole forest. Taija looks at the current situation and wonders if they should help the soldiers out, but Hela rejects the thought of helping, saying that it looks like the soldiers have a good handle on things, and that Taija might actually end up getting in their way if he interferes now. Taija agrees and says that they'll just stand by for now, and he pulls out his sword to react quickly, just in case things go south. The captain begins issuing commands to the soldiers, and the soldiers comply with her orders. She then rushes to attack the monster, saying to leave the rear to her. The duo watches the fight with curiosity, and Hela says the captain is pretty cool, and Taija says they make a good team. The captain and her team are in formation and synchronize their attacks on the plant monster. She tells the soldiers that it's time to finish this, and after some attacks, the monster is defeated, and the captain puts away her sword. One soldier praises the captain, calling her Sir Michael, and she replies that she couldn't have done it without him. Taija decides to step forward where the soldiers are gathered. He asks the captain if she's Sir Michael, and she replies that she is, and she then asks Taija who he is. Taija holds his delivery box high and replies that he's a delivery boy sent by Lord Vogue to deliver some food to her. Sir Michael is surprised to hear the name of Lord Vogue, the Archmage. She then looks confused and says that she doesn't recall him having so much interest in food. The scene shifts to Sir Michael, now sitting down with her arms crossed and looking at the food provided by Taija. She inspects one of the plates, saying that it looks fascinating. Taija lets out a nervous laugh, and Hela says, "Great, another weirdo." Taija explains that the rice and the chicken are the main dishes, and that the soup is for washing it all down. Sir Michael thanks Taija for the explanation. She then tries the food, not knowing what to expect, but suddenly her face lights up as she says that the food is good. Taija looks proud as he tells her to eat up. Hela jokes around, asking Taija if he's Sir Michael's mother or something. Sir Michael is eating her food quickly and finally gulps down the soup to finish the last of her meal. She then smiles happily while hitting her chest, saying, "That sure hit the spot." She thanks Taija for the meal, and Taija says he's glad she enjoyed it. Hela is surprised that it only took Sir Michael 3 minutes to eat everything. Sir Michael tells Taija that she doesn't have any money on her right now, but she can give him her sword. Taija is confused by the offer, and she presents her sword to him, mentioning that it has some wear and tear, but she has always taken good care of it, so it should serve Taija well. Taija declines her sword, saying that it's all right because Lord Vogue already paid for her meal. He then smiles and adds that he's just glad that she enjoyed their food and thanks her. Sir Michael smiles back at him, saying that the pleasure is all hers. Meanwhile, Hela looks at both of them, thinking that they are both weirdos. Sir Michael asks Taija if he has any plans after this, and Hela tells him to just lie and say that he does, but Taja instead replies that he doesn't have any plans. Sir Michael then asks if it would be alright to order some more food from him. Meanwhile, Hela is irritated, calling Taja an idiot. Sir Michael then explains that it's been quite some time since her soldiers, but before she can explain any further, an explosion occurs behind her. She then finishes saying, "Had a decent meal." Part of the camp is now on fire. Sir Michael tells Taja to please stay back, as the situation looks dangerous, and rushes towards the explosion. Taja looks annoyed, saying that they simply cannot catch a break, can they? Hela says that he just wasn't meant for the easy life. She then suggests that they go check out what's happening, but Taja replies that they were told to stay back. Hela smirked, trying to convince Taja by saying that they are not Sir Michael's kids, so they don't need to obey her. Taja said that sounds exactly like what a kid would say. Hela asks if he doesn't want to see what's going on, making Taja think about it, but suddenly a loud sound is heard, followed by a loud scream, which catches the attention of the duo. Taja rushes with his sword in hand towards the direction of the scream, as he says that there's never a dull moment around here. Hela says that it's better this way, as she believes she would be more unnerved if things got too peaceful. Taja then comes to a complete stop, as he wonders what he's looking at, as he hears yelling of words like, "Kill them, and kill all the humans." We then see the soldiers fighting what appears to be orcs armed with weapons. A soldier attempts to block an attack from the axe of an orc, as she says that they will never surrender, while the orc tells her to die. Taja is stunned by what he sees, as he asks if this is a war. Hela yells at him, telling him to pull himself together. The fight between the soldiers and orcs continues, with a soldier slashing one of the orcs, and another orc appearing behind that soldier, ready to strike, as it says the words, "Kill all humans." At the same time, that soldier, unaware of the danger they are currently in, tells the orcs to die, calling them lowly creatures. The orc behind the soldier says that this is for his fallen friends, and finally strikes down with his club, crushing the soldier, and blood splatters everywhere.
Fatality.
Taja is still frozen in place, and Hela tries to get him to snap out of it and pull himself together. He falls to the ground in shock, and Hela grows into her original size and checks on Taja, asking what has come over him all of a sudden. Taja feels nauseous and replies that he's never seen anything like this. Hela asks, wasn't he the one who chopped Zion's head off? Doesn't his country make tons of movies? Has he never seen a war film? Taja then begins to throw up, and Hela expresses her worry, patting him on the back and asking what's wrong with him. Hela then begins going towards the fight, asking Taja if he's going to be okay and saying that she thinks she should go and help the soldiers. Taja, still on the floor, tells Hela to wait for him, but then throws up again. Hela stretches her arms out and begins stretching as she excitedly prepares herself to fight the orcs. Her body then becomes engulfed in flames as she smirks and says that it's showtime. But her excitement is cut short when suddenly there's a bright flash behind her. She looks back, smirking in the direction of the flash, thinking it might be an ambush, saying to bring it on. To her disappointment, the flash was caused by Taja, who is holding up a ring on his hand while still kneeling on the floor from being sick. With an annoyed expression, she asks him what the hell he is doing, and he tells her not to make him speak, or he might throw up again. Hela walks over to Taja and says that it's still daytime, so what good will a lantern do? Adding that it sure is bright though. Taja replies that he was trying to get those guys to work. These words confused Hela, but as she's about to ask for more details, she looks back at the soldiers and orcs and notices that they are now literally working. A notification reminds us of the effect of the Ring of Hephaestus. Holding it high in the air for 5 seconds will activate the light of labor. Those who have seen the light will drop whatever they are doing and get to work. An orc approaches a human soldier with a cloth in its hand, giving it to them and telling them that they deserve a break. This makes the soldier happy and thank the orc. Sir Michael issues an order saying that the orcs will lead the main task and that the knights will assist the orcs as needed. All the soldiers agree to her command. Hela cannot believe what she's seeing right now. Meanwhile, Taja is still on the floor, throwing up. We then see a soldier and an orc sitting down, their back against each other, exhausted from overworking. The soldier says that he feels like he's dying, while the orc says that he can barely move. Taja is seen next to Sir Michael, who seems extremely exhausted. She tells him that they got through the battle without any casualties thanks to him. Taja smiles at her, saying that he's happy to hear that. He then looks at the sparkling village built by the soldiers and orcs. He can't believe they built an entire village, and Hela mentions that she bets no one will believe them if they were to tell a story about humans and orcs working side by side. Suddenly, Taija spots someone approaching him from behind, and when he turns around to get a closer look, he sees an orc twice his size standing right in front of him. Taija reaches to pull something out of his delivery box while asking the orc if he's looking for a fight, while Hela, excited to fight, tells the orc to bring it on. The orc gives them a welcoming smile, thanking Taija for ending their fight between them and the humans, calling him a great apostle. The orc's name is revealed to be Mahin, and he is one of the 3 great chiefs of Orkland. Taija is annoyed, saying not this apostle nonsense again. Hela teases him, asking if he's sure that the orc is not Hephaestus's long-lost son or something. Taija, with a stern expression, asks the orc chief Mahin what makes him think he's the apostle, and at the same time, he pulls out a blade and directs it at Hela, making her panic and tell Taija to take it easy, adding that she was just kidding. Mahin points at Taija's ring, saying it was the ring, and Taija says that the 3-eyed tribe noticed this ring as well, as he thinks that maybe he should take the ring off. Mahin then says that they also felt the warmth of Hephaestus's love when Taija shone his light onto them. Taija says that's nice, but he can run along now, shooing him away. Mahin tells Taija that if it's not too much to ask, he would like him to visit Orkland. Taija flat out rejects the idea, making Mahin very, very sad as he asks Taija why not. Taija explains that first of all, he's not their god's apostle. Second of all, he doesn't feel like setting foot into a land of bloodthirsty orcs. And last but not least, his last reason is that he's busy, and he displays his delivery box. Hela looks at him in disbelief, saying that he was just waiting to rattle off that speech, wasn't he? Mahin looks really depressed at the fact that Taija won't visit his place, while telling him that he understands. He then apologizes to Taija for bothering him and walks away. Right after this, Sir Michael approaches Taija, calling out to him. She tells him that he should give the orcs a chance. Taija is surprised by this, as he asks her, weren't they too busy killing each other before he got there? Sir Michael replies that they were, but that wasn't their original objective, and since the orcs seem to worship him as an apostle, who knows? Maybe they can come in handy for him. Taija lets out a breath of exhaustion, saying that he doesn't know. He's not sure being an apostle comes with perks like that. Hela says that it surely does not, reminding him of the 3-eyed tribe they just met. Sir Michael says that she doesn't know what he's been through, so she won't insist. Taija tells her that he appreciates that. Sir Michael then asks if it's not too much trouble, could they place another order with him? Taija reacts quickly and says that she can, but he will be the one choosing the menu for her. Sir Michael says that they don't care what the food is, as long as they can feed as many people as possible. Taija then shows her the menu and says that if she needs to feed a large group, he recommends the sweet and sour pork, chicken, or the chili noodles. She replies with, "Is that so?" before telling him that she will leave the decision of what food to prepare up to him. Taija says that he has some things he needs to take care of first, so it might take a while, and Sir Michael replies that it doesn't matter and hands back the menu to him. Taija pulls out a scroll and thanks Sir Michael for her understanding. Sir Michael replies that it's no problem at all while bowing to him. The duo is finally back at the cabin, and Hela jumps onto the table before waving goodbye to Taija. Taija replies with okay, but before he leaves, Sloane appears behind them, asking Taija if that's really him. Hela is annoyed and asks why Sloane is acting surprised to see them, suggesting he already knew they would be there. Sloane says that it seems Taija was looking for him, which catches Taija off guard as he asks how he knew that. Sloane laughs at the question and then replies that if you live long enough, you get the power to look into the future, and Taija says that sounds great, actually. Sloane asks if he may take a look at Taija's earnings, to which Taija agrees. 3 boxes are displayed on the table, one of which is open with multiple jewels inside. Hela tells Taija he has quite the collection, and he replies that he does, he just forgot about it since it's just been in the delivery box. Sloane takes a closer look and says Taija was paid for 6 deliveries, but one of those payments bound itself to him. He would normally take that out of his pay, but he then proceeds to pull out a large sum of cash, which surprises Hela. Sloane mentions that he'll let it slide this one time since all his customers were satisfied, offering him $30,000. Hela admires the large sum of cash in front of her. Taija is equally as shocked, as he can't believe he is receiving 30 grand. Sloan praises Taija for his good work as he places the last of the money on the table, and Taija, still visibly shocked, thanks him. Sloan then asks Taija, wasn't there something he wanted to ask him? Taija replies that there is, and Hala looks confused, saying, there's more? Taija pulls out a diamond, explaining that it is the perfect blessing, which is a gem that heals all ailments and wounds. Hala admires the beautiful gem. Taija, with a serious expression, asks Sloan to please allow him to use the perfect blessing. Sloan, now looking more serious, tells him that the gem is too powerful for him to handle. Let's say Taija uses it to heal his brother. Will the people around him congratulate him or look upon him with suspicion if he's suddenly cured of his incurable illness? Taija replies that he doesn't care what anyone thinks of him and his brother. If this gem works, his brother Taehyung can go back to culinary school and even make friends. Taija says he's not sure everyone will look upon his brother so kindly, but it's much better than being stuck in that cramped, dark kitchen all day long, afraid of falling ill and meeting new people. Sloan tells him that the perfect blessing was made to cure ailments that exist only in this realm, so there's no guarantee that this will cure his brother. Taija says that he's confident that it will work. He then gets close to Sloan's face and asks that even if they are living in different realms, humans are still humans, right? Sloan gives in and approves the use of the perfect blessing to cure Taehyung. This makes Taija very excited, and he thanks Sloan. Taija excitedly says that he'll be right back as he approaches the portal to go back to his realm, and Hela happily waves back at Taija. After Taija leaves, Hela stands in front of Sloan and asks him, "Now what?" Sloan asks what she means by that, and she replies by asking him why he's letting Taija get rid of his only weakness. Sloan replies, "His only weakness?" and then says he doesn't understand. Hela becomes angry and grows into her original size, now grabbing Sloan by the collar, asking him if she looks like an idiot to him, to which he smiles and replies, "Of course not." Hela says that if Taehyung gets better, Taija won't have a reason to keep working for him, so why did he let him keep that gem? Sloan replies by asking her if she really believes that Taija won't have a reason to keep working. He then says that he's not so sure about that, and then breaks free from Hela's grip and holds her wrist tightly. This shocks Hela, but before she could finish insulting Sloan, he tosses her back with great force, sending her flying and yelling across the cabin, as he tells her that it's clear she needs to take some time to calm down. Hela is then seen struggling to get up, and Sloan approaches behind her, telling her that it's fine to ask for his help if she doesn't understand something, but he has no obligation to be her teacher. Hela is now angry at Sloan. She readies for combat, and fire comes out of her right hand as she calls him a bastard, and asks him if he wants to fight. Before Sloan can reply, she lunges forward to attack him, but Sloan looks unimpressed and stands still while directing his right hand at her. Hela is easily knocked to the ground, and Sloan resumes their previous conversation about Taija, suggesting that Hela wants something out of this too. He mentions that she never tried to help Taija, despite her knowing all along what Taija was going through. Hela's whole body begins to tremble as she tries to get up, and she then asks Sloan what he is scheming. Sloan simply smiles and plays dumb, wondering what she means by scheming. He says he's just respecting Taija's choices, nothing more. Taija hands over the perfect blessing gem to his brother, and Taehyung wonders if he's really supposed to eat this. Taija replies yes, as it will cure his illness. Taehyung looks at the gem suspiciously and says that it sounds kind of shady if he's being honest. Taija assures him that it's fine, as he got it from a pretty famous archmage. Taehyung asks how he is supposed to swallow something so huge as that gem. This makes Taija reply that he has a good point and says that he thought the gem would be more like an item, but perhaps he will need to crush it up or something. Taehyung says, "An item? Then maybe it's not meant to be consumed." But as he tightens his grip on the gem begins to glow, which catches him by surprise as he wonders what is happening. On the other hand, Taija is praying for the gem to work. A golden light surrounds Taehyung as he is amazed by the result. Taija quickly approaches Taehyung, putting his hands on his shoulder, asking him if the gem worked and if he feels better. Taehyung tries to calm Taija down and tells him that he doesn't even know what he's supposed to be feeling. As Taehyung is about to say that he thinks he's okay, he remembers a past memory of being in the car with his parents going on a road trip. Suddenly, the parents looked concerned and shocked right before the accident occurred. Taehyung is seen traumatized and shrinking in fear by this memory, and Taija tries to make him snap out of it. In his memory, Taehyung remembers crying while looking at his dead parents, as he asks them for forgiveness. He says that he should never have asked to go on this trip. He blames himself for their death and once again apologizes. Taeja shakes him, telling him to pull himself together, but Taehyung is still trapped in his trauma as he continues to apologize profusely. But then a voice is heard saying, "Please, don't forgive me." Taehyung is now resting in a bed inside a hospital, and Taeja watches over him. The doctor approaches Taeja and then stops right in front of him before letting out a deep breath. This worries Taeja, which makes him ask the doctor if it's really that bad. The doctor says that it's not, and that, on the contrary, it's too good to be true. Taeja asks what he means by that, and the doctor continues by saying that according to the test results, his brother has been completely healed. That's not all. His body has somehow managed to reverse all the damage caused by his prolonged illness. Taeja takes the papers with the results to read them, and then asks the doctor if he's saying that his brother is in perfect health. The doctor replies that technically, he is. This may be hard to believe, but miraculous recoveries do happen. However, the doctor is a bit concerned about the unusual level of activity they are seeing from his brother's hippocampus. Taeja asks what seems to be the problem, and the doctor explains that there are certain memories our brains allow us to forget. Otherwise, we would never be able to move on with our lives. But with a hippocampus as active as his brother's, it may become impossible to forget anything. Taeja has a worried expression as he begins to understand the situation at hand, and the doctor tells him that his brother might be recalling memories that were meant to be forgotten, and whether that's a good thing or not will depend on his brother's reaction. With a saddened expression, Taeja looks at his brother and softly calls out his name. His brother is shown sleeping in bed. Meanwhile, outside the hospital, a crow is seen leaving the hospital as if spying on Taeja and his brother. Sometime later, Taehyung is seen fully concentrated on his cooking and then pouring the food onto a plate. Taehyung is then seen drying his hands and then asks if that's everything. Taeja, looking tired, replies that it is and thanks him. Taeja then tells Taehyung that he didn't have to insist on cooking as he could have just canceled the order. Taehyung replies that a good chef never turns away a hungry customer. As he leaves, Taeja tells Taehyung to make sure to get some rest, and the latter replies that he doesn't need to worry about him as he waves goodbye. At first glance, Taehyung is seen completely fine as he waves goodbye to Taeja, but as soon as Taeja leaves, Taehyung begins to throw up onto the sink. I really hope dishes aren't washed in that sink. Taehyung then leaves the restaurant, his body staggering a bit as he walks outside. He then arrives home and once again begins to feel sick, but he quickly stops himself from throwing up this time. He goes into a closet where a medical box is located, and inside that box are the potions he usually takes. He takes one of the potions and drinks it. He then drops to his knees and tosses the empty potion to the side. He is now seen sitting on the floor, his back against the closet, feeling miserable. He recalls memories of his parents offering to take him on a trip. He feels saddened by the memory, wondering why he keeps thinking back to that day. Suddenly, he hears someone knocking on his door, so he gets up to check and asks who it is. Taehyung opens the door and tells the young man in front of him that he's not interested in whatever he's selling, but the young man tells him that he's here to grant him a wish. Taehyung's eyes opened wide as he asked, "A wish?" The young man tells him yes, and is revealed to be none other than Zion, the guy whom Taeja beheaded at the arena. Zion explains that his father sent him here to give Taehyung whatever it is he desires. He then displays the contents of a giant book to Taehyung and tells him that if he sees anything he likes, he is willing to sell it to him at a very reasonable price. Taehyung asks what he means by reasonable, and Zion replies, "Who knows?" He thinks that would depend on the item Taehyung chooses, and he waves for Taehyung to come closer. Taehyung is seen looking at the contents of the book, and he asks Zion what he would recommend in order to get rid of a certain memory. Zion winks at him and tells him that he has the perfect product for him. He then points at a potion within the book and tells him that it is 5 times more effective than Bliss, which is the potion he's currently taking. He then adds that Taehyung will have to wait a few days to get it since he doesn't have it in stock at the moment. He then says that this shouldn't be a problem for him, right? Given that Taehyung should have plenty of Bliss potions left. Taehyung agrees that there is no problem at all. Taehyung then worryingly asks for the price of each of these new potions. Zion smiles and tells him that his father told him to give him a good deal, so he's willing to sell it at a discount. He then puts up 3 fingers, saying this is all he's asking for. Is he interested? Taeyong takes a moment to think about it before replying that he'll take the deal. The scene shifts to Taeja returning to the cabin, saying he's back. Hela greets him, and Taeja wonders what happened in this place, as when he looks around the cabin, he sees that the walls are damaged. Hela remains seated and tells him that nothing occurred, which prompts Taeja to question what she means by nothing, noting that this place is a mess. He adds that she should just tell him the truth, asking if someone came looking for her. Hela tries to play it off, saying who would come looking for her and that she was simply testing her amulet. She then asks about him, what took him so long? Taeja looks away, trying to come up with an excuse, and she looks at him, smiling, asking him if everything is all right. He replies that it is, and that he just took some time to take a nap. Hela stretches her arms and back and says that they should get going now. Taeja agrees and gets up, and Hela, now in her smaller size form, asks to confirm that they are headed to the Silver Lake, to which Taeja affirms that they are. Before leaving, he takes another look at the severely damaged cabin and then smiles before saying, that must be one hell of an amulet. Hela, looking proud, jokes that the amulet is quality stuff for sure. Taeja teases Hela, saying, wait, doesn't this mean she's pretty much useless for the rest of the day? This makes Hela angrily respond that he should watch his mouth, calling him a bastard. They arrive at Silver Lake, and Taeja calls out that the delivery has arrived. On the other hand, Hela is advertising Taeja's food delivery services, saying that they are always fast and reliable, and that the clients can count on the Wok brothers to deliver their food in just 6 hours. Taeja becomes annoyed with Hela's advertisement, asking if that was really necessary. She shrugs it off, asking what's wrong with it, adding that she's simply telling the truth. Did she hit a nerve? Taeja then wonders where everyone in the village went, and Hela says that perhaps they went off to hunt more cueros. Taeja agrees and says they should try heading over to the lake then. Hela feels a bit disgusted as she says that she's not sure if they'll be in the mood to eat with all those tentacles flailing about. Taeja begins to summon his bike and says that he was thinking of giving them a hand to apologize for being so late. Hela replies to do as he pleases. Then they get on the bike, and he asks her if she's ready, to which she replies, what's there to be ready about, telling him to just go. Taeja prepares to take off, saying, all right, here we go. But Hela looks bored and tells him that he's so slow. They begin riding through the forest, and as they get closer to where the soldiers are, Hela says that it sounds like they are really going at it. Taeja says that he will speed up now. They arrived at where the soldiers are and saw them fighting the giant plant monster. Taeja pulls out his delivery box, and Hela tells him to make it snappy, to which he agrees. Taeja then walks into the battlefield with his delivery box and sword in hand, and asks if they could please lure all the monsters into one spot. Sir Michael takes notice of Taeja's presence, but she is too busy to say anything else as she begins to give out orders to her soldiers. Her last order is to drive all the monsters to the shore of the lake. The soldiers confirm her orders and begin to move out to complete their tasks. The soldiers are then seen fighting off the tentacles of the plant monsters as they yell out, "May God be with us." Taeja arrives at where the monsters have been gathered and commands everyone to clear the area. Hela yells out as well, telling everyone to stay out of the way if they want to live. Taeja concentrates for a moment, controlling his breathing, and then slashes the monsters, killing them in one move. He stands still, looking at the dead monsters in front of him. He then puts his sword away and says that he thinks he's finally getting the hang of this. Hela looks at him in disbelief, saying that he's pretty much a monster himself. Sir Michael thanks Taeja for his help, and he tells her that it was nothing. Suddenly, another plant monster shrieks and begins approaching them. Hela is surprised that there is another one. Meanwhile, Taeja tells Sir Michael that they'll do this just like before, and she confirms his command. She then orders all of her soldiers to raise their shields. She then tells them to wait for her signal. But before she could say anything else, she notices the orcs coming to help. The orcs tell Taeja that they are here to help him, calling him Great Apostle. Sir Michael looks happy as she says this is perfect timing. On the other hand, Taeja is confused by the situation, and Hela is also happy, saying this will make things a lot easier. The orc chief, Mahin, tells the other orcs to charge as he yells out that this is for the Great Apostle. After some time, the plant monster is defeated as Taeja is seen stabbing it with his sword. He then swipes his sword to clean the blood off, and then asks, "This should be the last of them, right?" Hela replies that she sure hopes so, as 5 of them were more than enough. Sir Michael thanks Mahin for helping them, and Maheen tells her that they may not worship the same god, but they come from the same roots, so of course they are happy to help. Taija looks in disbelief at Sir Michael and Maheen holding hands and asks what's wrong with those two, and Hela replies that it looks like they bonded over being religious freaks. Suddenly, a golden flash blooms over the dead monster, which makes Taija get into combat position and ask, "What is it this time?" Hela tells him to give it a rest already. Adelia appears from the bright flash, waving at Taija with a smile. Taija tells her that it took her long enough. Annoyed, Hela says that she bets Adelia was just waiting for them to finish all this dirty work. Adelia apologizes for being late before sliding down the monster by mistake, which causes Taija to yell at her to be careful. Adelia falls to the ground and holds her head in pain. Taija helps her up, asking if her opening act was a fall gag, but she asks him what a fall gag is, and Hela tells her to forget it. Taija then points at a pink ornament in Adelia's hair, asking if she meant to leave that on. Confused, she asks what he's talking about, so she begins to feel her head and finds the ornament. She screams in embarrassment, quickly taking it off, and both Taija and Hela begin laughing at her, which makes her loudly ask, "What's so funny?" Wiping his tears from laughter, Taija tells her that she came just in time. She wonders why that is. Was he getting ready to leave or something? Taija replies, no, saying that his brother made them a ton of food, so he asks Adelia if she would like to join them. The scene shifts back to the village, where the human soldiers and the orcs are seen happily eating and drinking together. Taija and Adelia are looking at this as well, and Taija mentions that as much as he hates to admit it, they make a great team. Adelia nods in agreement, and Hela says, "You know what they say, humans can adapt to anything." Adelia then says that it certainly has been a while, and Taija replies, "Been a while since what?" Adelia replies, "Since it was this peaceful. Is that a strange thing to say?" Taija replies, "Not really." He then pulls Hela away from her food, asking if she hasn't had enough yet. Hela tries to break free, telling him to let her go as he shouldn't disturb a girl when she's trying to eat. Taija lets go of Hela, and she continues eating happily. He then tells Adelia that they've only been out here for 2 days, but still, it's finally nice to get some peace, and Adelia replies that it sure is. Taija then says that this is especially true since tomorrow's probably going to be another crazy day.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, and comment so I know you saw the full video.